Well, while the weather delay is still holding us up a little bit here, we are at least looking like we're getting closer to going racing. We've got Ryan Perry, team owner for Ryan Perry Motorsport, with me here in the booth. And, well, Ryan, let's talk first about not even to the racing in this weekend. Your tent is packed, dude. You got 3 of them slapped together. I heard you had somewhere in the ballpark of 25 go-karts under your team tent this week.
We ended up with 23 carts. So,
crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty busy. Yeah, we have a full house, so doing our best to keep everybody fast, and yeah, it's a lot of work.
Well, let's talk about some of the high points so far through the day for your crew. Yesterday, we have half the practice on this layout, half on the mobile race tomorrow. You know, where do you stand across the board over the 6 divisions?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we're kind of in the mix on everything. We were struggling a little bit on X30. We were a little bit better through the practices, but our Aiden Levy, he's kind of like leading the team right now. Kieran Rogers is pretty quick as well, but Levy's kind of getting a little bit sick. I think he was like puking before the last heat, so he's struggling a little bit. So we'll see.
Talk to me about your initial thoughts when you saw the track layout for tonight. This is another new layout. We haven't raced this one before. Haven't even run it the club stuff with a cut through a little further down than that Super Speedway layout that's run sometimes here at Trackhouse. What do you expect for both the micro and the KA Junior, shootouts, and then of course the KA Senior Shootout?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like pretty fast. There's really no tight corners, pretty fast. So maybe think about taking gear off. But now it's raining, so the track is going to be wet. So it's going to be interesting. The gearing's going to be changing in between runs and nailing the tire pressure, figuring out what tire and what tire pressure to go with. So.
And, in terms of a guy who, granted, you're on the road just like us for the national tour, it feels like every other week, but your team is based out of here nowadays. How quick can we expect the track to dry? Granted, it's been a hot weekend, hot day, but now the sun's gone.
Yeah, it just depends. It always seems like the bowl stays a little bit wet, so that water carries a little bit depending on, especially when you're racing, they're going to be 2x2 at times going through the bowl, sometimes even 3 wide. It's going to kind of carry that water. I mean, it seems like they have more drivers than some of the shootouts, so it may dry pretty quick with that amount of drivers, but it's really hard to tell, especially because it's dark. So,
with the last bit of advice you give to any of your drivers or mechanics getting ready, you've gone through with a number of superstars. You won with Paulie at the first X30 shootout. So what's the secret that you kind of tell to your team of how to attack such a unique event and format?
Basically, you just have to be willing to take risks and, just take gambles and have a lot of good people around. Like, we try to get as many good people that are mechanicking on the other carts involved in the shootouts, and a lot of brain power, really just try to figure it out, throw something at it, and we have people doing splits and this and that, and really just trying to, if you have multiple drivers in the shootout, it's a lot easier because you can test different things with different drivers and nail the sprocket a little bit quicker, so that's going to help.
Well, you've at least got a couple based on the initial list for tonight's KA Shootout. I know you've got a lot of work, so I won't keep you for more of it because while we are still seeing some lightning, it is at least lightening up on the rain aspect of tonight. So hopefully we get racing here real soon. Sure. Ryan, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks for coming and stopping by the booth.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, we're going to take a look back onto the racetrack so you can see the live conditions right now. We'll let Ryan head back over to his tent. So that way he can get his team ready to go. There's a live look at all of the spectators and onlookers, as well as some of the first few micro and KA Junior drivers rolling up to the grid to get an idea as the track is being swapped over. There you can see Eric Jones in that IAME t-shirt, his brother Brandon getting a look at everything and waiting, really just kind of in this holding pattern until we go green with our shootouts. Now, we are, the list of the drivers have been posted to the Discord channel, the official Trackhouse Motorplex Discord. We also, of course, along with the top 10 for KA that transferred in off of points, the promoters picks, which have been expanded to add, as Ryan mentioned, a few more drivers than the original 12 that would have been prior to the fan vote. We've got quite a few in the promoters picks for KA. We have quite a few in the promoter picks for micro and a handful for KA Junior. But we are getting closer and closer. There's a look again as well to Justin Dittrich, the race director Jordan Perry as well, assistant race official. They're all just trying to get a game plan together. We will be going racing tonight, and on the other side of this momentary break in the on-air commentary, we'll be bringing to you the official announcement of your fan vote winner, who will be joining the grid for the KA Senior Shootout presented by CNC Performance Engineering and gearing up for our support class races with Micro and KA Junior. All right, and it's official. So let's go through the lineup here. We've got your top 10 that have qualified for the KA Senior Shootout based off of merit. That is Caleb Gaffera, Frankie Mossman, Cameron Weinberg, Stephen Miller, Parker DeLong, AJ Myers, Hayden Jones, Kai Hunter, Stephen Isert, Hayden Levy, and Paulie Massimino. Then you have the promoters pick that's been expanded to 6. Chase Buscalia, Peyton Phillips, Adam Brickley, Dalton Haynes, Finnegan Bailiff, and James Overbeck. And the 17th man in the 17 driver expanded KA Shootout, your 2024 CNCPE KA Shootout fan vote winner is none other than Emery Lyda, who will be joining as the 17th man on the grid for tonight's KA Shootout. 4 sessions in total. Warm up, a pill pick heat race, an invert of the pill pick, and then a feature race, all for thousands and thousands of dollars in prize money. There's still more prep to go, but now the 17 have been set, and on the other side we'll chat with some more, including our fan vote winner here, who will be joining us in the booth to talk about how he was able to get his way into the shootout and what he plans to do.
Apply, spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Kart Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Kart Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit kartclass.com to get your track information.
USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
All right, back on the other side of the break, and well, Emery, you got a redhead in the race now. You're going into the CNCPE KA Shootout, and before you came on into the booth, you had asked, "Are we racing tonight?" We are. We just heard engines firing up under the commercial break. Talked about the crazy whirlwind of a 2-day run you've had so far.
Yeah, I mean, new team, new engine, new everything this weekend. It's been kind of a bit of a struggle through parts of the weekend. We had a lot of pace throughout the day yesterday up until, I think, the last session, and then today, warm-up didn't go well. We kind of put ourselves on the slow group for qualifying, and then from there, it was kind of a fight. And then in Heat 1, to top it all off, we had a sprocket guard failure, which meant that it kind of shredded apart, which dragged it all race. So we finished 12th in that. We're kind of not in a great spot for the rest of the weekend, but to be able to get the fan vote, to be able to kind of get my way in somehow is still very special to me. And I mean, I'm thankful for everyone who voted for me. And also, I mean, it's a layout that, you know, I talked about on the show, Grid Talk this past week. I've mentioned in the past in passing, I think it will provide some good racing.
It's going to be the biggest Super Speedway pack race and the closest, I think, high-speed track that we've ever seen in the shootouts before. But I asked Ryan this. I want to ask you this. Sun's down. It's hot. We've got sessions running before you. When will it dry, or will it dry?
It's going to be an upward battle to dry. I mean, while there's sessions before, there's not really enough carts to where I would say, like, it's going to be fully dry. I mean, the humidity is going to help a good bit in terms of drying the track, but I would say if it dries at all, it will be, like, very marginal at the very end of the event.
So where does that land you? Do you feel confident on the RPM Tony Kart more in the wet and the dry? I mean, seems either way you need to make sure the bolts are nice and tight on that thing.
Yeah, my dad's already beating himself up enough over, and he's done a lot of good work this week. So, I mean, we'll have it tight. We'll have it ready to go on that front. In terms of wet versus dry, I mean, dry-wise, we had a lot of pace yesterday. Today, I think we're pretty good when you consider the track position we've been in. So I'm confident in the dry. I think it's going to be a mess either way, and it's going to be more of a drafting race. In the wet, I mean, I think I'm decent in the wet. I've had good results. I've had bad results. It's going to be more kind of line astern in that case, but I think either way we'll have a good package.
Well, before we let you go and go back to prepping the go-kart, because you got to go pick up your race tires and get ready to go into the shootout, who would you like to thank for helping throw the votes in to get you into this race?
Yeah, well, before I get in the vote side, first off, huge thanks to Ryan Berry for the opportunity this weekend. I mean, we had a couple local races we've worked together, but to have him on board this weekend was pretty huge. My dad, as well, wrenching for us and Comet Racing Engines. And then on the voting side, I mean, look, I reached out to a lot of people, campaigned to a lot of people had my back. So whether it be my family friends at the lake, whether it be my grandparents, my mom, my dad, all my friends at school, I mean, there's a lot of people that voted for me, and I really do appreciate every single one of them. I mean, I didn't hold up my end of the job today on the racetrack, but everyone else had my back, so I really do appreciate that.
Well, Emery, they've given you a shot, and you're going to have a chance to go and compete. So you've got a lot of people here obviously rooting for you, but thanks for coming and chatting with us. Go put your suit back on, man. It's time to go racing here in a little bit.
Yeah, thanks. Shout out KC Gang, too.
All right, there we go. We got our crew in the background, guys. We're going to take another break here on the other side. You can see they're fired up, and we've got more to go with the Micro, Swift, and KA Junior shootouts rolling up soon. The lightning is starting to finally subside. We've had the rain kind of go away for a little bit. Had to stay in a bit of a holding pattern for these pop-up lightning and thunderstorm showers. We'll throw that radar back in the top right corner of your screen, and we should have a countdown to green here momentarily to that first of the 4 sessions in the support class races here this evening. Before we roll on with the weather finally moving out, well, we are again just in the final few moments before we get underway. with our shootout races for Micro and KA Junior. Well, we did talk with a number of the superstars coming up in KA Senior. Most notably, one kid who is at a storybook 2024, James Overbeck. And the BJR MDR crew, they are in on a promoter's pick to tonight's CNCPE KA Shootout. And before we get into the shootout, well, we did get to talk to James at the beginning of the day and talk to him a little bit about this weekend, this year in general, and everything that's going on with the Ohio native.
James Overbeck, America's newest heartthrob this year. Already got a couple race wins to your name, but this is the biggest payout you could get for a race win, and you're at Trackhouse hometown race for the team. How are you feeling coming into this weekend? I know you were struggling yesterday.
Yeah, I was feeling really good because we had a really good run at PKS earlier this year. But yeah, yesterday was definitely a struggle. I think I was 28th out of 38 in the last practice, so definitely got some work to do. Hopefully we're feeling better today and things go a little bit better. You know, I really want to make the shootout, but at the moment it's looking a little unlikely. So got a lot of work to do, but I think we can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you take a look back at last year, you had a lot of podiums to your name across multiple series, but this year you're coming in as one of the favorites this weekend, and there's also a fan vote on the line, and I mean, you're a fan favorite coming into this weekend, so does that add you a little bit of extra boost coming into this one, especially with everything you've done so far this year?
A little bit, but I don't really want to. The fan vote's nice, but I want to actually make it in and drive it in. I don't want to get just added in just because. So, you know, I feel like if I really make it in, I feel deserving of it. You know, if I feel, if I get in a different way, you know, it's not like as cool to get in that way, but it'd still be really cool to get into it. But yeah, hopefully we just get better from where we were yesterday. It's been a really good season so far, and you know, I think that's just a big goal to be able to compete with some of the best in the country and really show that I can be as good as them, if not better.
And I mean, again, this is probably could be the biggest payday in your young career, so that'd mean a lot for you and your dad, right? Taking that home and bringing that stuff home. I talked to AJ. He said, you know, he's more excited about bringing the Kart home. Is that same for you, or you want to get that money?
Yeah, for sure. We brought the LN out for this weekend. We're using the Tony Kart, so. Just in case of some damage like that, some crazy racing, which I feel like with the layout they have for the shootout, there's definitely going to be a lot of that. It's almost all wide open, so it'd definitely be a crazy race. And I think even with the normal race, I remember last year the racing was even crazy, just in the super heats and stuff like that. So hopefully I don't tear anything up. You know, it's been a minute, knock on wood, but survived one weekend and didn't wreck, so hopefully we can keep it up and hopefully at least just get up there to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, and lastly, let's talk about that layout, right? It's almost like a super speedway. I would say very NASCAR-like with, well, you're turning right in all these corners, but I mean, how does that feel, I guess, going into that? You know, you have to have a lot of power and you need to be in that draft almost the entire time.
Yeah, for sure. And I know with that layout, I guarantee there will be a lot of blocking, so it'll keep everyone really close and it'll lead to an exciting race. And I want to be a part of it really bad, but if I'm not, then I'm not. I still get to support the team. Whoever under the tent gets under there. We got a really good lineup of drivers this weekend, so I'd think we'd have at least one or two in the shootout, depending on how things go. But yeah, it'll definitely be exciting. I think from a driver aspect, it'll be a little chaotic and there will be a lot going on. There won't be much time to rest, which that's not always the most fun, but it'll definitely lead to an exciting race and it'll make it fun for the people watching at home.
Sounds good. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
We are continuing to keep a tab on everything going on here on the racetrack. The weather delay, we don't have quite a tentative start time yet. We are waiting for more. There was, during that momentary break there, a bit of still, unfortunately, some lightning in the area. There is not a lot of liquid sunshine coming down. But we do still have some time. So we're going to take a moment to go back on the other end and run through some of the other drivers we were able to chat with earlier in the day. Another one of the notables, Paulie Massimino. Now it was a heartbreaking end to that third, to the final race of the day, that X30 Pro opening heat race. He led it up until the final, 300 feet or so. Here's what he had to say, though, early on in the weekend at a race where he was able to win in the inaugural X30 Shootout.
But yeah, it'd be cool to have all that money. I don't know what I would do with it. Probably invest it, save it. But we'll see if we can get there.
Maybe a new set of golf clubs with the new money. With all that money, you can get, I don't know, some Callaways.
No, I got Titleist right now, so I'm all right. But I actually haven't played in a while. It's been I played the other day for like the first time in a few months, but I'm a little rusty, so trying to get back at it once we start slowing down over here.
Paulie Massimino, back again here at the IAME Grands. You're back in the KA stuff this weekend. Last time we were here and you were running KA, you won the race at USPKS. And again, I have to take you back to last year. You came close from that shootout victory, so I know you're going to want it more than ever coming into this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, last time we were here, ran KA as well. We had a pretty good weekend. We ended up winning. But, yeah, it's a little bit more competitive this weekend. KA field's really stacked. Even the X30, everybody's super close, so it'll be pretty tough to try and get it done again.
And you're one of the only drivers, or one of the few drivers, I should say, this weekend running the double. So that's more money on the line for you. And I guess, you know, we talked to all these guys on what that money would mean, but what would that mean to you, I guess, getting it here at home?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very, very cool. It's definitely a lot of money. The chance of it happening is very slim, I think. Definitely possible.
And lastly, here with the layout, you know, you're a guy who's ran probably every single layout at this racetrack. How are you feeling for the layout here this weekend? Because it almost seems like a super speedway.
You'd actually be surprised. I really don't run any of the other layouts. I don't run the club races here or anything anymore. So I only really know what we've ran so far, and plus maybe whatever we ran here so far is just about all I know. I've never ran that layout that we're going to run. Seems kind of interesting for the KA. It's like a super speedway track, so I think it'll keep the pack tight, but you know, I think it'll be hard to pass. I think it's going to be hard to move your way up the field, and yeah, I think it's just going to be a blocking chaos show.
And lastly here, X30 base question for you. I guess your only 125 X30 win came here at the shootout in 2021. So, you know, it's been a while since you've been on that top step of the boxing X30. So, you know, do you feel like finally getting that monkey off your back here this weekend with the shootout in the main event later on this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We've been having a pretty decent year, I feel. Definitely started off the year pretty good and kind of maintained, you know, had a few kind of not so great races, but overall this year I feel like we've been pretty good. I feel like this team works super hard. I've been working super hard. So we'll see. At the end of the day, it's, you know, we're all just trying to push and do the best we can, and if it comes, it comes, and if it doesn't, then we just try again the next time.
Sounds good. Thank you, Paulie.
Thank you.
Paulie Massimino was the first going into that last turn of that X30 Pro heat race earlier on this afternoon into the sunset hour. Right behind him, lined up, starting from further back after a so-so qualifying effort across both divisions, was Dalton Haynes. It's probably one of the most odd combinations. SLA Kart Racing, typically a Kart Republic team, has Dalton on a borrowed Sodi in X30 Pro and a borrowed TB sponsored by Race Lab Karting in KA100 Senior. And he was able to catch us up a little bit about how it all came together and how he plans to try and defend that X30 Pro main event title from 2023.
You know, we can't deny the fact that you impressed everybody. Last year and this weekend, a little bit different, I guess, different view than what you had last year. You and your brother were running alone under the GWR tent. Now you guys are with the team in SLA, and double duty for you this weekend, 2 different chassis. I mean, how does it feel coming in this weekend after getting that big win last year?
Yeah, you know, it feels great coming into the weekend. You always look back at last year and you're like, yeah, that was a great year, but you got to put it behind you for this weekend. You know, it's a whole new weekend, a whole year's passed, everyone's caught up. All the engines are really similar, so it's going to be just as hard, if not harder, than last year. So last year we weren't under the GWR tent. Everyone thought that we were. We were right beside it. It was just me, my brother, and Abby Adams, who I was working with in KA Senior. But yeah, no, like for sure, it's going to be a good year, or good weekend, sorry. With the Sodi cart under SLA, SLA has given me a really good program to work with here. We got good equipment, and then the TB cart I ran at Rotax last weekend. Thank you to Race Lab guys up there. And yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, and I guess there's just a little bit of a difference this year, right? The first year you came in, nobody was expecting anything from you, and then you surprised everybody with a top 3 finish, and then even last year, right? Well, your second year, I should go back. You were running in podium contention, then a DNF put you out of it in the end. And then you go back to last year, you struggled in the shootouts, but you were good in the main event. And this year, I mean, everybody's expecting you to do good. Everybody's expecting you to kind of be up there and be in the fight. So is that any added pressure for you this weekend, you know, with all the expectations from everybody on the fence line?
Yeah, so I like that question. Obviously, yeah, last year no one was expecting it. This year, I've also gotten older. You know, I feel a lot more mature than last year. A year of national racing behind your belt really helps you. You know, consistent national racing almost all year this year. We stopped just recently. Last race that we did was GoPro US BKS, and then I got to get right back in the seat for road tax. And road tax, I felt cool as a cucumber the whole weekend. Like, we didn't have a lot of pace throughout the heat races, and I just kept down to my notes, focusing on my pressures, and then by the end of the weekend we were there, you know, and we got the P2 finished and got the ticket to Italy. So that's how I'm going to go through this weekend. Just going to be as cool as a cucumber, work with my brother here, and I got the equipment behind me, I think. The Speed Lab engines and the A2Z engines in KA are going to be really good. We already had a great day yesterday, and I'm feeling good for this weekend.
Yeah, and a little bit of a throwback as well with the shootout in X30, and then it's almost like a super speedway in the KA side of things. So, I mean, you know how to drive that I guess, shootout layout in X30, but how are you feeling about the KA one?
Yeah, the KA one, absolutely. Last year we got P2 in the KA shootout, so we're feeling confident in both. The TB kart's on rails, the SODI kart's on rails, and I feel like I'm ready to go win some things, win some money.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to get at next, right? Everybody's talked about the money. They're more focused on, I guess, getting the win. But, you know, deep down, they're kind of focused on that. Especially for a guy like you, that'd mean a whole lot to take almost 10 grand home with you and your brother Roman.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to bring some money home for the SLA boys. And hopefully, I mean, you know, I'm a sponsored driver, so you got to give back and then take some money home for us. It'd be nice to give back some money to my brother.
Sounds good. Well, thank you. You see Roman shaking his head in the background. He's happy about that. So good luck this weekend, Dalton.
Thank you.
Dalton Haynes was able to race his way forward through both of his heat races after the quali efforts today. That should put him on the KA Shootout. We also will see the Magic Man behind the wheel of the CNC Performance Engineering KA100 Shootout as well. And we caught up with AJ Myers earlier on today.
Alrighty, AJ Myers, good to see you back at the track. This year a little bit different. You've been running KA for the majority of the year, so I guess it's not like last year where you hopped in straight from the shifter. So I guess, does that give you any more added confidence going to the shootouts later on tonight, and I guess more experience in the KA side now?
I mean, yeah, it helps that I've driven KA all year, so we're definitely dialed in. Everything was good yesterday, and now for the shootout, it looks like it just doesn't really matter how fast you are. It just matters don't crash and just stay in the pack. They picked, I guess, pack racing is what they went for, and so it's bound to be wild.
Yeah, so we saw the shootout layout. Kind of looks like a super speedway. I mean, you know, you have to have a lot of power, but you've also raced these guys a lot this year, right? Across all KA, all KA series and whatnot. So, I guess, are you more used to, I guess, racing in that KA side of things this year than you were last year?
Yeah, I've definitely gotten better as far as like the first laps and just making sure I keep that track position in the front. KA is just about track position, and as soon as you lose it, we're all pretty close in pace, and it's tough to really make up that ground.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you're a race winner at heart, and you care more about winning the race than all the money, but we have to talk about it, right? There's a lot of money on the line for the shootout. I believe $5 grand tonight. So does that add you any little bit more boost of energy coming into this weekend with, I guess, a big payday on the line?
It's always motivation, but at the end of the day, I kind of respect my equipment. So at the end of the day, I want to bring home the Kart too. So some money and a Kart at the end of it would be great.
Sounds good. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
And along with the Magic Man, well, when you look for experience at the highest level of North American karting over the last decade, the name that comes to mind for many is Ryan Norberg. He's solely in the X30 Pro class. He right now sits well inside the top 10 of the points overall to go to the shootout tomorrow night for them. In previous years, he's been able to join us in the booth for the KA Shootout presented by CNC Performance Engineering. But beyond all of that, he was on track today, qualifying a heat race and a warm-up earlier in the afternoon for the rest of the weekend. Here's what he had to say before things got underway earlier this afternoon.
Ryan Norberg, back this weekend, IAME Grand Nationals for you. Last year, came close, and we talked about it. You know, it was a year, I guess, you could say a hiatus for you last year, not having that win, but this year it's been all about you, right? A lot of race wins and a championship already to your name. So is that more confidence, I guess, coming into this weekend compared to last year?
For sure. We, I wouldn't say we really got close last year. It's just a rough year last year, especially at this race. Shootout was in the rain. It just didn't, nothing really went well last year here. But we have speed this weekend. We've been practicing a lot, just getting everything together. I would say over the last couple weekends, we've been really working on everything, getting everything going well. And so, yeah, I think we're confident going into this race. I mean, it's a one-off though, so it's always a little bit different. There's a lot more to gain here, and nobody really has any incentive to play it safe. So, yeah, you have confidence, but it's one of those races where nothing really matters at the end of the day other than winning. So, yeah, even if you're the fastest, the strategy is just completely different.
And I feel like this year, I mean, I would ask what you do with the money, but starting your team, I know they probably all go into that for you this year, and I know you missed out on it last year. I believe 10 grand the payday for you guys if you put it all together. So would that be more to kind of boost your team a little bit more at home?
Yeah, that, and then hopefully I can run my race again. Last it was expensive, so ideally we can save up some money and then run the race again. So, but yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you told us all like you could win this race and not have the money, I think we'd all take winning the race over the money. Obviously, the money is important. It's nice and it incentivizes you even more. But at the end of the day, we all just want to win, and I think winning is the most important.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess a little bit of a throwback this year with the all-shootout layout back from 2021, and that's a year where you were super strong. I believe you have 2 main event wins to your name and then missed it out last year. So this year, I guess that's the chance for you to get back up there. Any added pressure this weekend, or feeling good about that layout from last year, or from 2021, I should say?
I mean, I feel good. We won the shootout on this layout, so I feel confident. It's a little bit different though. The shootout when we won it we only did like 2 sessions on it, so we kind of figured everything out before everybody. But now it's everybody has time to practice, and like a lot of the locals, they run this track for their local races. So it's I don't think there's any added pressure. It's always pressure for me, but definitely not added. I think right now we've just got to try to stay out of trouble early in the week. Obviously get into the shootout and then make sure we're there for the final.
Yeah, and let's talk about the layout or the scheduling of this weekend as well. I mean, we saw this year with the pro show, kind of gives you guys kind of less time to work on everything, and as well with this layout, you have 1 practice session. It's a hot pit, so you guys all have to be on it from, I guess, the first session out there, and you need to be good with your intel and whatnot. So I guess how is that? I know it's probably a little bit stressful on the grid, but having to get that information back to your mechanic and tuners.
The shootout's always just a different ball game. I think a lot of what you learn is more during the races, the heat races. Obviously, there's money that incentivizes going out and winning, but you got to just pay attention to the end. I mean, the end goal of the shootout's where you win the most money. You can't get caught up in the little heat wins because you really need to be testing. If you're testing in those, you can make a fast card for the final, and that's obviously the one that matters. Obviously, you want to take home all the money, but the big paycheck is the one that you want the most.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, as you can see on your screen, folks, finally some good news. We are planning on going green in 12 and a half minutes with qualifying for the micro shootout. So the first of the support class shootout sessions, micro and KA Junior, you can begin to make your way down the grid. 12 minutes and counting down on the countdown to green. We're getting set for shootout racing time, and then right after micro and KA Junior fast shootouts are done, the CNC Performance Engineering KA100 shootout will get underway.
Well, the engines come to life here, and we get set to go with our Fast 5 shootouts in your Micro Swift class and in your KA100 junior class. My name is Caleb Viesko. Alongside me here, Alexander Searle, hopping in the booth for these support category shootouts, Alex. And already we saw Santi Orioli there looking on as they get set to go out onto the racetrack, but it's changed a lot in the last couple of moments. A lot of rain has definitely hit the Mooresville area, and I mean, you're seeing it now. It's very, very damp out there on that racetrack, and still liquid sunshine continuing to fall from the sky. So we'll wait on as we look on with Jaden Francisco keeping dry there under the umbrella. Him and his father there getting set to go out onto the racetrack. Francisco's had a good year, to say the least, and he waves. So good to see Francisco out here and looking on to get ready to go green. But Alex, you have the official rundown of how these support category Fast 5 shootouts are going to go. So why don't you take the honors and run us through it?
Yeah, well, it's fairly simple, right? So we're going to have Micro and Junior go back-to-back here for their practice/quality sessions. This practice session is going to set the grid for that 10-lap main. So it's going to go back-to-back, 5-lap practice quality for the Micro, into the Junior, KA Junior, 5-lap practice quality, back into the Micro for the 10-lap mains for each of those two classes. And then we'll head into the KA Senior Shootout later tonight, where there's $4,000 on the line. But for these shootout races here, $1,000 on the line for these young Micro stars.
Yeah, some big money for all these guys and getting in on the promoter's pick. Zane Burgess, after issues for him in his heat race, put him out of the shootout, a promoter's pick, put him back in the fight, and he's getting set to go out with Marcelo Flores, who is was the first one to qualify into the Fast 5 shootout on merit. So look out for Marcelo Flores to be quick, but it's all going to change here. Win Gottschalk, another one of those drivers that was able to get into the Fast 5 shootout off of a promoter's pick. So congrats to Win Gottschalk, congrats to Zane Burgess for racing their way in. 7 drivers total in this Micro Swift class as they prepare to go out onto the racetrack. And, you know, whatever you had, whatever setup you had in the go-kart, that's all changed now. You need to widen out that front end, slam that rear end just a little bit as they get set to head out onto the racetrack now. Engines coming to life, and we're getting set to roll out. So, again, 5-minute practice/qualifying session here for all these drivers, and it's going to be a wild one. We'll see how that racetrack looks, and everybody who was in the paddock is now migrated over to the fence line, and they get ready to watch some great racing action from our youngest superstars. Again, a look at the radar here on the top right-hand side of your screen. No cells in the area, but again, we were hit by almost a row of multiple cells that came in and really let the rain come down onto this racetrack, and everybody going to be tiptoeing here. Again, if I'm not mistaken, alternate layout here as well for your Micro Swift drivers, the super speedway layout, and you see that rain there in the background of our cameras starting to come down very relatively now. So they're going to tiptoe around turn number 4, and then they're going to go through a cut through here coming up shortly. Going to be a left-hander here, and they're going to have to work their way down into what's originally turns number 11 and 12. So Francisco leading them out. And again, super speedway layout. We expected to see a lot of drafting, and that's what we thought we were going to see, coming into this race. But it's going to be very different. If you're a driver with a lot of experience in the rain, if you're from Florida and you know how to drive in the rain, this is really going to suit you as well. And we're going to look forward as one spinner already. A couple of drivers collected there. That looks to be Lawrence Perriman, who just got collected, and one of the OKP Orioli Kart Performance drivers, the 21 of Carvalho. So he went around in turn number 1 and going to get back going now into turns number 2 and 3. So already issues early on, and you see how treacherous the conditions are early on, Alex.
And how difficult is it for these young Micro stars to go out there, not only have to figure out a new layout, but also find where all the grip is as well, adding rain into the mix here. You see Jaden Francisco already kind of use some high side, we kind of call it the rain line, the karting line. He's doing sort of a normal racing line here. There's a good look at Zane Burgess. He's going slightly wider here. Drivers just trying to figure out which conditions, which line is the best to take here through 1. Let's see what Francisco opts to take. Middle of the racetrack is what he decides to do here. The track is pretty wet, but hopefully if the rain can start to slow down here as the night heads on, as we still see a pretty decent shot. That rain is still falling quite a lot here, Caleb, as we head on the back straightaway.
Yeah, Zane Burgess, the driver on the provisional pole position here. He just set a 44.489, so Burgess is a lot quicker at the moment than the rest of the field. He's about a 10th quicker than Jaden Francisco, who's a driver on your screen now for the Ryan Perry Motorsports camp. Santi Orioli sits in 3rd. Win Gottschalk, the kid from Curacao, sits in 4th. And Marcelo Flores is currently P5 on the docket at 47.102. As Francisco goes around on the exit of turn number 12, and he's going to get back going. And you see Burgess and Orioli racing here already, but I mean, to me, Burgess seems like the quickest driver overall, 0.3 quicker than the rest of the field. 8.41 for the Jamaican sensation.
Yeah, well, we see Zane Burgess exploring new parts of the racetrack here. He went on the curb at turn number 1. Not a curb you normally want to hit in any category, especially in the micro Swift class, but you'll see some drivers opt for curb in wet weather conditions because it could help the cart rotate if you don't have enough front end grip as the rain continues to fall. So for Burgess, one of the only drivers really seemingly comfortable with using more racetrack than everybody else. Orioli as well used a pretty similar line to Burgess. I wonder if just maybe got the gear slightly wrong here. That's another thing that not only are you trying a new layout, but with the rain as well, it's a completely blind setup in terms of which gear you want to be on. So it looks as though Sody Kart USA and Zane Burgess has gotten it right so far. A minute 50 left in this practice/qualifying session, and so far Burgess has 3.5 tenths on the field. Orioli behind him. He sits 6th at the moment. After that spin from Francisco, he's gotten his head back down, put a personal best to put himself 3rd once again, but Burgess right now consistently the fastest one on the racetrack.
Yeah, definitely continues to do so already. But they're just going to run out of time here in a couple of moments' time. A minute and a half, just under a minute and a half, I should say, left to go in this session. And I mean, I really can't fail to mention, Alex, it seems like every time for the past 2 years that we come to a shootout, it's been under wet weather conditions, and it's definitely been that way so far this weekend again, right? We're getting flashbacks from last week, but much better that we're inside this time, indoors. Compared to last year, we were out there in the rain, getting our socks wet, getting our shoes wet, and you know that definitely didn't make me happy at all. I had a new pair of shoes last year for this event, and they definitely were getting closer and closer to the bin at the end of the weekend.
Absolutely. I remember that. You had some new shoes for that weekend.
I was pretty upset, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you one driver who's not upset. Win Gottschalk has put together an absolute flyer. The 25 machine for running on board with the Bennick as he has all year long, a 43.502. He put 3 tenths on himself and Zane Burgess. He's hopping into the seat. He knows his go-kart's quick right now in the latter stages of this qualifying session. They're going to cross the stripe. This is probably going to be the last lap for all of these young micro stars. Let's see, does Zane Burgess have a response? He doesn't. Does Gottschalk improve? He does not. So not many improvements right now for your top 5 besides Francisco, a 44.254. That's going to put himself 7 tenths back from the lead. So right now it's really Gottschalk versus Burgess, as there's the second spin there of the session for Carvalho. The first one with Perriman earlier, I think, was one of those avoiding the spins, and then he got collected. This time in the last corner, Carvalho spins it around. So you see these drivers having to deal with so much besides just learning a new racetrack.
Yeah, definitely. He's really going to have to learn a whole lot here this weekend, but a kid who's definitely been learning pretty quickly, you should say. The driver on the provisional pole position. Checkered flag is going to be out this time around. What does the kid from Curacao have left in store for that Bennick team? He crosses the line now. Burgess doesn't improve. Gottschalk can't go better. Orioli doesn't improve either. He's only 7th quickest. Across the line next year for Slate Harrell, only 5th quickest. Marcelo Flores, what does he have? Not good enough, only 8th for him. Francisco can't improve. It's going to be Win Gottschalk on the pole position in your Fast 5 micro shootout here in this qualifying session, and he's one step closer to $1,000, the biggest payday in his young career as the rain continues to come down. But we wrap it up here with your micro Swift drivers, your KA100 juniors, getting set to go out onto the racetrack here in a couple of moments' time, Alex.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're all watching this session, trying to figure out what the best line is, where the grip is at. Because you see off the reflection of the puddles, and really just looking at the puddles in general on the racetrack, that the rain is still falling at a pretty heavy pace here, Caleb. It hasn't lightened up all so much compared to what we saw earlier on when it slowly started to stop. Here's a good look at the grid for the KA100 juniors. There's Chase Gassiet-Lee. Got the full wetsuit on.
Tinted visor, that's surprising for Chase Gassiet-Lee going out onto the racetrack.
I think he forgot.
Yeah, it was definitely, it's minor changes that you have to make, and Chase Gassiet-Lee, I think, forgot one of the biggest ones, maybe one of the first changes I would have made to my equipment. They're strapping on the clear visor instead of that tinted one, but Chase looking on, and he gets set to go green in his Coastal Link Nash Motorsports machine Gillard, so we'll look out for Chase Gassiet-Lee here. Mad Max Weiland had a lot of pace in the dry as well in heat race number 1. We'll see what Mad Max can do in the wet in that Magic Kart machine. They're going out onto the racetrack. The whistle blows. Everybody going out. Malquit will be one of the last ones to go out here. Vanchev out now. And we'll see how these KA juniors, again, you expect a little bit more experience out of these guys, and you expect them to be a little bit quicker than those Micro Swift drivers as well. So those Micro Swift guys, last little bits of adjustments that they can make, and we'll see what they can do here later on. But it's been wild, to say the least, Alex, and we look on now and see what these drivers can do as they go into their qualifying session now. Going to be 5 minutes. That's all you got to really make or break your shootout hopes here, Alex.
Yeah, well, these junior drivers have, they have more go-kart to throw around. You're going to see slightly different lines from these juniors than you're going to see with the Micro Swift stars and our young stars in this weekend. There's Gasly taking a whole bunch of curb. I expect to see that throughout the field because now with these bigger chassis, you really can abuse these curbs more than you could in the smaller, cadet-style chassis. So through turn 1 right now, who opts the curb? I think Ty Fisher got a little bit of it. Most of the drivers opted for that middle, even high side line of the 1. So again, you're going to see a lot of exploring now. Look at the spray off of those wider rear tires here for the juniors. They really give you a good idea of how wet this racetrack is, but this is what you need if you're the KA seniors watching this later on for your shootout race. You want these drivers to clean out this track as fast as possible, but as the rain will continue to fall, it's going to be tough to get even a slightly dry racetrack when it comes down to the KA100 Senior Shootout. Gasly once again, the only driver opting for that curb there. Fisher using a tighter line. Vanchev as well further back. I believe that might have been Forrest Adams now. He's got the white helmet on. They don't want to use his painted helmet.
Yeah, smart.
They don't want to get it dirty.
You don't want to soak the inside of that helmet either, so very smart there by Forrest Adams to really get that done there. So for Forrest, good for him there on that respect. But again, nonetheless, we'll see what he can do. Again, he has a lot of laps around this place. I don't know how many laps he has in wet weather conditions, but this is really where it starts to show, right? How much time are you and your family or your mechanics putting in whenever you do see there's rain outside? Is it a bad day to go to the racetrack, or is it a perfect day to go out and do some wet weather racing? Because you never know what can happen, especially on a weekend like this, up for a lot of money. So for Mad Max Weiland, he picks up right where he left off earlier on today in his heat race victory. He just went quickest to 42.061. For Mad Max, Malquit goes up to second. Alexander Vanchev to third. Fisher to fourth, and Chase Gassiet-Lee, the kid from Florida, rounds up your top 5. And it's a lot closer than what you saw as well in the Micro Swift class. These drivers are a lot closer together. Vid Montien just cracked himself inside of the top 5. He's up to 4th.
Max Weiland is absolutely wheeling it right now in this qualifying session. It may look sloppy, but it's quick. His hands are incredibly busy right now, but I will say, if you look at his line compared to what Gassiet-Lee was running, I think you're going to expect Chase to start shifting his line because Max Weiland last time around goes purple again, a 42 flat, basically, almost into 41s now for Max Weiland. He's one of the only drivers I've seen do that middle, even higher line than most. Gassiet-Lee opting for the normal racing line, even some curb into turn number 3, but it's ruining his runs onto the back straightaway. We're seeing Fisher now shift his line. Vanchev as well following through. Again, through the bowl corner. Look how wide Weiland is. He's having to fight the Kart on the exit, but nonetheless, he's getting the power down sooner than everybody else. So it's working for him on the exits of the corner, and that's what you want in the rain. You want good exits. You want good traction. You don't want to have that wheel spin. In the KA junior class, they're quick enough now in the rain. You'll start to get some wheel spin. So for Fisher, he gets a whole lot of curb on the entry there. And for anybody who doesn't know, curbs tend to be a little bit slippery when wet, obviously, right, because of the paint. So for Ty Fisher, good save there, but nonetheless, it's going to cost him a lot of lap time for this one. Max Weiland last round again, a purple lap, 41.822.
Yeah, we're nearing the end here. He just went quickest. Malquit holds on to the second spot. Ty Fisher up to third. Vid Montien 4th. Chase Gassiet-Lee now rounds up your top 5. And this has all changed throughout the sessions. It's been almost a battle of who's going to be in there inside of the top 5 and who's going to start where when you get into the Fast 5 shootout. Let's just say Fast 9 shootout here for these KA juniors with Travis Pettit joining the party, Nathan Dupuis, Adams, and Vanchev as well. So for all these guys, they cross the line now. Weiland goes even quicker on his 6th lap, a 41.689. So that's a really good lap there by Max Weiland. And for the first time this weekend, on-air debuting for us, Sarah Bradley has caught up with Wynn Gottschalk, your fast lap qualifier in your Micro Swift class. So Sarah, what do you got for us? Thank you very much there, Sarah. You heard there from Wynn Gottschalk, no strategy for him going into it, but Isaac Malquit has found himself really close to the wall. The Burrell Art PSL Racing driver is out of this qualifying session early, and as it stands, he sits in the 3rd spot. That's going to be a quick turnaround for him to get that kart onto the recovery train and get back up there. But wow, Isaac Malcutt finds himself off there, and I'm sure he's pretty soaked, and there's going to be a lot of cleanup for that Brell art machine coming your way shortly, Alex.
Yeah, well, that's going to end his session, obviously. The checker flag is out, but Malcutt, I mean, nonetheless, he's going to have to come back on the trailer there, but it's a third-place qualifying position for Isaac Malcutt. For Weiland, it's provisional pole here for that main event shootout race in KA100 Junior. You see the frantic action down there on the pit lane here for your Micro Swift drivers who are making any sorts of changes they can. They went out there blindly for that practice/qualifying session here, and you see some of the SLA drivers or mechanics, sorry, working on the go-kart there. Marcelo Flores trying to do everything they can to get that thing out
the front
there.
end there. Looks like changing some caster and some camber there. So
more front end grip.
Yeah, add some more front end grip. You look on here to Hayden Jones as they're still not going out for their session yet, but they're looking to go out, and you see Hayden there looking on track side, and his kart there waiting with the entire RPG contingent here this week. And a lot of mechanics going to be working on his kart later on as well. And you see all the drivers there in the distance as well waiting on. The 935 as well, Kai Hunter, the Brit, who, funny enough, I spoke to him before he went out for that race. This is his first time, I believe, driving a KA100 engine package. And his own words, he says, I have no idea what I'm doing out there. I've only driven the road stacks. I've only driven the X30 side of things, so I am absolutely lost. The closest thing we have to KA100 is the Club 100 rental carts back at home. Then you have as well, Magic Man, AJ Myers, his driver just put it up at the top of the timing charts. Max Weiland just went quickest. Hello, AJ, how are you doing? I know that driver there right next to you pulling in now was really, really quick, and they're going to do whatever last little bits of adjustments that they can. And as well, shout out there to Weston Workman. And is that Connor Zilich there as well? I think it is. So what's going on at Connor Zilich to Weston Workman already? Connor set to run a full Xfinity season next year, and Weston Workman as well, who was your Mazda MX-5 Cup shootout winner. So those two drivers looking on here. So going to see them out at the racetrack this weekend and watching, the future of karting, the future of racing out there going for the Fast 5 shootout races. And we look on as the Micro Swifts getting set to go onto the racetrack. One driver who's going to start from the rear, Marcelo Flores, and you saw the adjustments they were making. So that's going to be key to see if they can gain whatever bit of speed that they need.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing that we saw from that grid shot there was AJ Myers. You could see the gears turning in his head. Weiland putting it on provisional pole for the KA Junior Shootout. He's thinking about what he needs to do for his go-kart when it comes time for him to go out there for practice for the KA Senior Shootout. But it's cool to see that no matter what, he's looking at Weiland's kart. He's saying, you know what? It was quick. What can I do to make it similar to mine? What can we change? After Max obviously came in with a bit of feedback on that go-kart. And, it's never really going to be perfect in the rain no matter how good of a driver you are. You saw SLA mechanics going at it with Flores. You see the Bennett drivers trying to do everything they can to get this a new air filter on as well. Yeah. Maybe it got overflowed. Obviously, with the rain, if you don't have a cover on it, it can fill up pretty quickly, Caleb.
Yeah, you need to hold on to that. And you see younger brother to Win Godshock looking on there. Zev Godshock looking on as the mechanics all go to work. Enzo Vettel, they're one of the mechanics working on. Team manager Juan Villarreaga there as well. And that looks to be as well another one of the Bennett mechanics putting that air box back on and hoping to keep that thing dry. You don't want that engine to flood, especially with water. Can get in through there, so that's not going to be ideal. They're tightening it up now for the pole sitter as he gets set to go back out onto the racetrack now. And again, for this kid who's starting on the pole position, coming all the way from Curacao every time that we go into national racing action, him and his younger brother and his entire family as well, coming from the island of Curacao. Not that big of a population there for them, but these two kids emerged from there. And this year, Win Gottschalk has made a name for himself with that Bennett team. And he's definitely made a name for himself so far in the shootout. And as well for Jaden Francisco, this kid came out of nowhere earlier on this year, got his maiden victory at the Stars Championship Series, King of the Castle, and he's been super strong as well as the years progress. And as well for Lawrence Perriman, for the BJR MDR team, he looks to have good pace here this weekend, and we'll see how that kid can do in wet weather conditions. For Zane Burgess, they're looking to be late here onto the grid. They're going to put his kart down, but for Zane Burgess, the Jamaican sensation, we'll see what he can do, and if he can take the fight to a fellow Islander in Win Gottschalk. So it's all to play for here, Alex. And, I mean, it seems like we're running out of breath here talking about all this stuff going on, but it's the same thing for these mechanics who are probably even more out of breath than us in the booth.
Yeah, that was almost the second time today that Zane Burgess has been late to the grid. Luckily, he makes it in time for the engines just to be fired for Zane Burgess, who put the P2 in qualifying there, heading into this main event shootout race for these young stars. Like you said, are potentially in for one of, if not the biggest payday they've had in their very young career. But it's going to be Burgess versus Gottschalk on that front row. We saw Francisco spin it around earlier on in the session. He made a couple of mistakes off of the RPM OTK, but nonetheless, he starts inside the top 3. And like you mentioned, Marcelo Flores, they were working really hard, the SLA crew, throughout the small break that they got during the KA Junior qualifying session. He rolls off on the back of the grid, but they were frantically working on that front end, seemingly needing more front grip, which is what everybody wants in the rain.
Yeah, you can almost imagine those tire pressures were probably upwards, just even higher than the 15 PSI mark, which is really high, especially at a place like this. But I mean, that's what you're going to need to get those tires up to temperature and get them warmed up here. So we look on now. Win Gottschalk, Zane Burgess going to lead us to green. Francisco Carvalho starting on row number 2. Lawrence Perriman and Slade Harrell on row 3.
Yeah, further back, row number 4. The final row is Santi Orioli and Marcelo Flores here. It was 5 drivers in on merit, then it was rotor pick, and then the vote pick as well. So for the Micro Swift Shootout, we have 8 drivers here to take the green flag and potentially win $1,000. Who's it going to be? We're going to find out 10 laps time.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a wild one. I mean, I must say, these drivers always surprise us, and when they go out onto the racetrack, they're going to provide us with some great racing action. So everybody on the fence line looking on as these young superstars go out onto the racetrack, ages from all the way down to 6 up to around the 10-year-old, or I should say about 9-year-old mark for all these young drivers. But Win Gottschalk starting on the inside, Zane Burgess on the outside. There's the last little look at your starting grid order. Only 8 drivers total for a chance to win $1,000 here in a couple of moments' time. Gottschalk, the Benek team, and the Sodi Racing USA team starting on the front row. They're getting set to go into the tram lines for the first time this weekend in shootout racing action. Your Fast 5, look on to the green flag. And in a couple of moments' time, it's going to be out here. And yellow flag, and man, they keep us waiting. One more go-around, so we're going to go around one more time and wait again. And Gottschalk, kind of telling everybody to slow down as we look back onto the grid. Isaac Malquit, his father there, and their mechanic getting hard at work and looking to, I believe, narrow that rear out just a little bit more. And you see all the grass there that, definitely gets thrown out of the picture whenever you have to whenever you have to fix a setup and do what you got to do to it. So they're making those adjustments there, and you see all the grass because Malquit found himself in the grass at the end of his qualifying session. It looks like they're struggling with the right rear hub here and going to adjust that rear width for Isaac Malquit. But everybody on the fence line looking on. Eli Warren, Zane's dad, SLA team, a lot of others looking on the fence line. And definitely, you need to get here early, find a spot early, because it definitely gets crowded real quick, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the coolest spectacles that we get here at Trackhouse Motorplex. The fences always get filled, especially when it comes to shootout time. And it looks as though, Caleb, I'm looking at the camera screen right now, I think the rain might be slowing down a little bit. We'll have to see if we can get a better look, and we'll have to look at the puddles on the racetrack. But that'll be a good sign for the KA seniors if they're looking at the racetrack and thinking, you know what, if this rain does begin to slow a little bit, maybe we'll have a slightly drier racetrack come shootout time later on this evening. Looks to be a much slower getaway here for the Micro Swift drivers, so hopefully they're getting ready for green. You see Justin Dietrich really telling them to slow down, especially to Win Gottschalk there on the inside. Here we go. Green flag is out for the Benek driver. He's on the inside. The outside is the preferred line if you're in the rain. Burgess is going to try to hold it there, but can't make it stick. Going to hold on to P2. Francisco third. All these drivers doing a very good job to stay single file here up the hill. Slightly wide for Win Gottschalk. He's going to have to defend in the 4, but I think it's going to be too late. Burgess down the inside of the pole corner. He's going to take the lead, but around the outside, Gottschalk has the better grip in the rain here. It's going to become the inside line for this left-hander, but wow, Zane Burgess is going to get the lead here early.
Gottschalk there dives to the outside, looking to set up an over-under on Zane Burgess. Everybody going side by side. Carvalho, Perriman, and there's Francisco as well. Flores looking on the outside of Orioli now. Going to be single file on the exit at 12. A lot of drivers going way wide there. We'll see who has the better grip, who has the better exit. Side by side for the lead again. Burgess on the inside on the brakes. You see his hands really busy there on the steering wheel. Carvalho on the inside in turn number 1.
Isaac Carvalho, he was spun around twice in the qualifying session. Doesn't matter. He's P2 now early on, and this one has a pretty good run down the hill towards turn 4. Do we see a late lunge to the inside? No, but we do for Francisco. Jaden Francisco's not going to claim that third spot, move Gottschalk up the racetrack if that's what it takes for that position. So for Francisco, he's up to third, but Gottschalk's going to find room up the inside of turn number 4. He's going to make it stick there for third place now, and a good run out of turn number 5 for Zane Burgess is going to create a bit of a gap between himself and Carvalho. Gottschalk now has found a little bit of extra grip compared to everybody else. He's got a pretty good run out of the final corner now down the front straightaway. You see Carvalho give the helmet tap, but you're not going to see a whole lot of pushing here in the rain.
Yeah, it's very tough to even push in the rain because you could definitely trip on somebody's toes, especially if they're right in front of you like Carvalho is now on Gottschalk. So we'll see down the back straightaway. Does anybody have a good enough run to attempt to move, to attempt to dive? There's Gottschalk on the inside into turn 4. He's able to get clear and up to second for the kid from Curacao. He's now going to chase down Zane Burgess, who currently has a really good gap back to these two drivers who continue to fight for second, and it really took a while for Gottschalk to get up to speed here, Alex.
Yeah, but now that he seems to have found an extra gear here aboard that Bennett machine. He's leaving Carvalho behind, and he's getting up to the rear bumper of Zane Burgess, who, if you look at that final corner, his hands were incredibly busy. I don't know if that go-kart's exactly where he'd want it to be right now. We know they were late to the grid, so they're clearly working on something, but he got a decent enough exit now to pull away from Gottschalk. So it looks to me like a bit of a gear differential between your top two, because when we get to this section of the racetrack, the faster stuff, this is where Gottschalk seemingly closes that gap to the Sody Kart driver here through the bowl corner. Burgess having to put a lot of wheel into it. Gottschalk running that wider line is definitely working out for that Bennett driver right now, but Burgess, this is the first lap out of 4 so far where he's actually extending his gap slightly on that lead.
Yeah, and one driver already off the racetrack, Santi Orioli, unfortunately, not going to close this race out. He's collected there just on the exit of what looks to be turn number 4, so that's going to be it for Santi Orioli, unfortunately, for the MPG Academy boys in the Orioli Kart Performance team as well. So unfortunate there for Santi Orioli. We look back onto the racetrack. The kid in second, absolutely flying here, and as well as the kid in first, who just set in his personal best lap time of the race, a 43.763 for Zane Burgess. About a car length back to win Gottschalk, who has a good run on the exit of turn number 4. When does Gottschalk decide to go? When does he dive on the inside of that Sody Racing USA machine? He's going to look to bide his time here behind Zane. Really has to hit his marks and stay focused, stay locked in, and continue to hit his marks, hit his apexes, hit his braking points, and be quick on the throttle. We look now trackside with our shoulder camera. Gottschalk closing in onto the main straightaway.
Yeah, well, there's an art to not only driving in the rain, but the passing in the rain here. We're on to lap number 6 of 10, and now we're going to see the chess game begin here for Win Gottschalk, who right now, I think the tide is starting to shift towards the Bennett driver's way in terms of overall pace. You see Burgess exploring the curbing now. I don't think it's really going to be much faster for these cadet-style chassis. It takes a little bit too much tire off into the air, and you lose grip on those front tires. So as much as Burgess would love to use the curb for rotation, I think it's actually hurting him overall on the exit. You see his hands, how much busier they are compared to Gottschalk, whose hands are just seemingly straighter. It's the kart's floating over the water, and I think right now it's taking it a lot better than the Sody Kart driver, but Burgess has the advantage of track position, which in the rain is super key.
Yeah, and you see Burgess, a big snap there on the steering wheel. Gottschalk, the exact opposite as we get onto the main straightaway now. Gottschalk, look in, going to stay in line here behind the Sody Racing USA machine. And Alex, that was another one of the points that I really wanted to bring up. That Bennett machine just looks like it has all the grip that Gottschalk needs. Very, very little adjustments on the steering wheel. And Burgess, the exact opposite, almost counter-steering in a lot of the corners with a big snap of what seems to be some oversteer and some understeer as well. So going to be something to see out here for Zane Burgess. But a car length, again, separates your top 2 drivers. And the Sody Racing USA team that got in off a promoter's pick as well for Win Gottschalk. These are the 2 drivers who were in on the promoter's pick. And for whoever that promoter was or whoever voted for these kids is definitely happy with their choice right now.
Yeah, well, these are 2 drivers that have gone at it head-to-head throughout the year in Micro Swift. They hadn't really had the best heat number 1 to begin their day, but this has been an incredible showing for these 2 drivers who are going after it for $1,000 here. 3 laps to go for Zane Burgess, who leads over Win Gottschalk. And as much as we say that Gottschalk's go-kart may look better than Burgess's right now, he has that track position advantage, and that's all you need in the rain. Gottschalk trying new parts of the racetrack, going wide. I think it actually hurt his momentum overall on the exit of 4 through 5. This is where Gottschalk is quicker than Burgess at the moment. But right now, I will say, this is the first time, Caleb, all race long, where Zane's hands are starting to quiet down. Maybe the go-kart's coming back to him. Maybe he's figured out, how to drive this setup. But no, it's still pretty active through that final corner compared to Gottschalk, whose hands are pretty straight. 2 laps to go for Zane Burgess, a 1/10.5 quicker than Gottschalk last time by. He needs to do that for 2 more laps.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he needs to keep it picture perfect here for the rest of the race. We've seen him do it in the dry. What can he do here in wet weather conditions? You see the steam start to pick up from the racetrack, the rooster tails as well. What does Win Gottschalk have in store for Zane Burgess? Really has to get on the horse now if he wants to challenge Burgess for the $1,000 here at the IAME Grand National Micro Swift Shootout. White flag in the air next time they cross the stripe.
Zane Burgess, that gap was 4/10 last time by. I think it's a little bit smaller this time around here through the final corner. Burgess, a whole bunch of oversteers, through that corner, and they're side by side on the exit. Burgess has a decent enough run, but now that 4/10 advantage has erased through one. High side for Gottschalk, low side for Burgess. It's going to ruin his run up the hill here, so Gottschalk now is going to have a pretty good shot here. Burgess to the bottom. Gottschalk didn't go as high as I thought he would, but over the curbing goes Burgess. He's going to have to defend through 4. Gottschalk with a pretty good run here through the bowl. The high side is the preferred line if you can make it stick, but Burgess somehow maintains this lead, half a lap to go.
Look out for Win Gottschalk, because is he going to be close enough on the inside? Not going to be able to get it done here. One more passing zone here for Win Gottschalk. Turn number 12. That's the spot he's going to be able to get it done. If Burgess has another big snap like he did the lap before. Burgess going sideways a little bit. Gottschalk going to spin around in the final corner. And Zane Burgess is going to win $1,000 at Trackhouse Motorplex in Micro Swift.
Zane Burgess makes it happen. And look at this. Isaac Carvalho, you see what it means to him. Crossing the stripe in second. And Marcelo Flores heading into the final corner as well, is also spun around for SLA Karting. So it's Burgess, Carvalho, Francisco, your top 3. Win Gottschalk was going head-to-head with Zane Burgess all race long, but in the final corner, you saw him really try to push the limits of what his Bennett machine can do in this wet weather conditions, and pushed maybe a step too far. Congratulations to Zane Burgess, you're $1,000 richer.
And a driver looking on now who looks to get something in the bank for himself. I don't even know if he has a bank account yet for Max Weiland, but could be some luck here for Mad Max as he gets set to go green from the pole position with the Magic Kart team. Alongside him, Alexander Vanchev looking to go green here. Ozzy Malkwit, after finding himself off the racetrack in the qualifying session, he's going to start on the second row, and you see the last little good lucks from Robbie Boy to show. Team owner there for Max Weiland, and everybody giving the last little bit of handshakes to their drivers. Vanchev looking on there, starting on the front row in second, and we'll see what these KA juniors provide for us as far as racing action goes. So engines are getting fired up now. We look on, and they get set to go out onto the racetrack. The Brawlart machine going to start on the second row, and for Isaac Malkwit, you got to think if you have any little bits of gremlins that are still in that go-kart after spinning out in the qualifying session, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we don't really know exactly what happened to Malkwit there. We can assume in the rain probably, maybe pushed the boundaries a little bit too much, but nonetheless, he's put it at 3rd place in this practice/qualifying position, or that session, sorry. So heading into this 10-lap main event to win $1,000, it's going to be Max Weiland on the pole position. He looked pretty confident in the rain, but obviously once you get a chance to get a feel for what your go-kart can do, the gear as well. Usually the second session, even the third session, we're not going to get one tonight, but if they had a third one, I'm sure they'd all have it pretty figured out. This second session, it's all up to really not only the drivers, but there's a lot of pressure on the mechanics as well, right, to get this setup right. The drivers can only tell you so much, and as a mechanic, as a team owner, you're watching your driver go out there in the wet weather conditions, and you're kind of eyeing it out and saying, you know what, this is what I think you need, this is what I think you can take out of the go-kart, add to the go-kart. But in the rainy conditions, usually it's what you can add to the go-kart.
Yeah, no, for sure, and especially if you're a guy like AJ Myers, who, you're getting intel from a guy like Max Weiland. You know how the racetrack is, the tire pressures to run, the gear to go on as well. So that's all going to be useful for everybody else as we wait for that grid to populate for your K8 junior drivers. And it's Max Weiland on the front row alongside the Sodi Racing USA machine of Alexander Vanchev.
Yeah, behind him, Ty Fisher and Isaac Malkwit. Then it's Enzabin Montien, Chase Gassiet Lee. Forrest Adams on the white helmet there. Didn't want to dirty his painted helmet, so he's going to start 7th. Travis Pettit 8th. Nathan Dupuis, the last driver here that has a chance at $1,000.
9 drivers total. Doesn't matter how you got in. You're in this moment now. Weiland going through the water there, looking to get some, looking to moisten up those tires before he goes into turn number 1. So we'll see what Max Weiland can do for us here. Vanchev on the outside. A very, very slow start, a crawling pace for these KA100 junior drivers. We look on at Justin Dittrich, to our flagman here this weekend, as they get set to kick off the race for $1,000. The KA100 Shootout, your Fast 5, getting set to go green. We're going going to have to wait one more lap. So, again, racing live vocal cords for the second time out. So, your KA juniors going to do one more lap, keep us waiting here just a little bit longer. And when they do, Alex, I'll let you take it away this time around.
Yeah, for sure. We saw Weiland there run through that puddle heading to the final corner. I don't know if he meant to do that or not. Let's hope he covered up the air box because that was quite a big puddle that he ran through. But nonetheless, I'm sure Robbie and Andrew told him to go and maybe search for some puddles. I don't think that's what they exactly meant.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I mean, keeping those tires cool, maybe it could pay off later on in this one. There's Jerry giving us a good shot of the puddle that Max Weiland went through. Nonetheless, the go-kart's probably...
Over-under, he does it again. I'll be 20 bucks right now.
Yes.
He missed it. So, man, Max Weiland did not go through the puddle, so I owe Alex, actually you owe me because you voted that he did. So, anyway, free money's free money. We look at the cone now, and again, that's the start box where they can punch off from. So, again, they cannot punch off any earlier than that. So, Justin Dittrich, again, pointing it out to those drivers on where the start box is. Gonna get off now, and yellow flag again. So, we're going to wait one more time, and everybody just antsy to get that 1G into the bank account later on today, and that either goes into the parents' bank account or into the driver's bank account, whatever, the racing fund, you could say. And Ty Fisher there on the outside of Weiland, telling him emphatically to slow down, to hold his horses here just a little bit longer and not to punch off so early because they probably just want to get racing now.
I wonder if they're going to invert the front too, because usually after two yellows, you put the drivers in third and fourth to the front of the grid. So I wonder what's going to happen here. It looks like Malkowitz, you may be thinking about it. So far, it's still the same front two of Weiland and Vanchev, but you can see, I saw Vanchev do it. I saw Ty Fisher do the same thing, kind of say, listen, we need to slow down. We need to at least get some green flag racing here for the shootout race. But like you mentioned, I mean, when you put some money on the line, these drivers, maybe not used to racing for money. It adds a different incentive than a trophy, and I think you could see the nerves maybe getting to some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, again, this will be a lot for all the work that the mechanics put in, for all the work that the parents put in to get them out of school, or for most of these guys as well, doing online school now, and take that time off and maybe miss a homework assignment or two. So for all these drivers, they get set to do it one more time, and I can almost hear the yelling in the background as well from the fence line as they're excited for all these drivers to go out. And Weiland again crawling to the tram lines for the third try this time around, and we wait to see what Justin Dittrich deems of it and if they get it done. And again, the marshals just pointing emphatically, and there's Dittrich telling him that's the punch-off point. That's where you can punch off, no sooner than that. And he's pointing to it emphatically here, so telling him to slow down. And this looks good enough for me, Alex. We're getting set to go green. The race for $1,000 starts now in KA100 Junior on the inside. Malcolm looking to go through. Ty Fisher around the outside is up to third.
Yeah, the outside lane right now still the best thing, the best line to be on right now when it comes to the rainy conditions. So it's Weiland, Vanchev, Fisher, Malkwit. You see Vanchev trying a slightly narrower entry to the corner, but it seemingly ends up middle of the racetrack at the end of the corner anyway. So most of these drivers using that middle of the road as Fisher. He's going to dive down the inside, but overshoots it. Vanchev a great over-under. So Ty Fisher, you see a little bit frustrated with himself with that one, hoping to get a little bit more grip out of that TV go-kart, but you can only do so much in the wet weather conditions. As we see side-by-side further back, Gassiet Lee, side-by-side of Vidmontien. We know he likes to use that curb on the inside of turn number 12. It seems to have worked for him here, and some curb in a one. That was a 2-for-1 there for Gassiet Lee. Inside of Vidmontien and then inside of Malkwit, Vidmontien as well. He's going to sneak through into the top 5.
Well, with all that being said, we have side-by-side on the racetrack, and we're going to have side-by-side on our stream. We have we're down there with our first shootout winner in Zane Burgess. Sarah, take it away.
5 Sodi Racing of Zane Burgess, $1,000. How does that feel?
Really good.
That's great. How did you feel going into the race? Do you think that you had it, or do you think this is going to be really difficult?
I feel like I had it.
What was the strategy going into the race?
Just to keep going and not spin out.
That's a good strategy, in this rain and this tough conditions. Who would you like to thank for this victory?
Woolger, my family, Sodi, Juan, and my mechanic.
That's amazing, Zane. Jamaican sensation, Zane Burgess. Back to you guys.
Well, there you have it. Zane Burgess, your first winner on the night, and we look back onto the racetrack. Side by side, further back in the field, Enzo Vidmontien, Dupuis, and a lot of other drivers as well fighting it out here. Just on the edge of the top 5 is on the inside. Alexander Vanchev looked to take the lead on Max Weiland, clobber that curb in turn number 12, and wasn't close enough to get ahead there of Weiland.
Yeah, but I think that line is going to be the line that we see drivers start to shift towards is, using that curb on the exit of the final corner, or the entry to the final corner, sorry, because the little bit that you lose on the exit, you gain a lot on the entry as Vanchev going to dive down the inside of turn number 4. He's having to catch a whole bunch of wheel into it, but nonetheless, he's going to make it stick, but Weiland down the inside might overshoot it here side by side on the exit. Max Weiland back to the point here, almost halfway through this 10-lap main event for $1,000.
Yeah, there you have Ty Fisher closing in as well, and there's Vanchev again, looking on the inside. Can he make it stick this time? It was closer, but couldn't get it done on the inside of Weiland, all the way further back. Gassia Lee going side by side with Pettit, as well as Nathan Dupuis. All these drivers fighting it out, and this is, Alex, we can't emphasize this enough. This is the closest thing we have to an all-star race here in karting, and I think this is the all-stars in your KA100 junior class. So all of them going at it, and what is Max Weiland? Can he keep Alexander Vanchev at bay here? Vanchev has tried it, gone over the curbs, looking to get the grip there, but it's been close. It's not close enough.
Yeah, but with a pretty good exit here towards the final corner. Vanchev, we know he likes to use the curve on the inside of the final corner. He might use it again here and get a pretty good run onto the front straightaway. He missed it, and you see the oversteer that he gets at the exit with missing that curb. If you're going to run that normal racing line, you have to get out of that curbing for rotation. Otherwise, you're going to have a big slide or a big push, depending on how you have that go-kart set up. Looks like Vanchev has that thing set up to slide quite a bit, and to me, whenever I drove in the rain, I preferred a bit of an oversteer go-kart versus a go-kart that I had to use a lot of wheel. I feel like it used my front tires a little more than I would have liked. Nonetheless, Max Weiland using a very high line through turn 4. It's given a pretty good exit on the towards turn number 5 here. You see it's paying dividends for him. Vanchev trying curb now for the first time in turn 5. They're still exploring new parts of the racetrack as this track continues to dry here with 4 to go.
Yeah, definitely that track looking a little bit drier than it did before. Still a lot of rooster tails flying up in the air. Gassia Lee, Dupuis, Travis Pettit all fighting it out here just on the edge of the top 5. That's for P5, and everybody else for the podium places for the likes of Alexander Vanchev and Ty Fisher. They're unfortunately losing a little bit of touch here to Mad Max Weiland and that Magic Kart machine, who's absolutely flying here in this race. So this kid seems to be walking on water here, Alex, the way he's driving out here.
Yeah, right now the pace is there for Max Weiland, but I got to say, for Ty Fisher last time he was the quickest of the 3 down the inside and through on Alexander Vanchev. Race Lab TV's Ty Fisher with 3 to go. This time when they cross the stripe, fastest go-kart on the racetrack last time by. He has a sight set now on the magic machine of Max Weiland. They cross the stripe here. Once again, Ty Fisher quicker than your top 3. The only driver faster than them was Gassia Lee and Dupuis. They're right now 3.5 seconds back. They're not in the mix for the win and for $1,000 here. 2.5 laps to go for Ty Fisher. He was your winner. He was your pole sitter star earlier today for KA Junior. He's looking to enter tomorrow $1,000 richer.
Yeah, so we'll see. Ty Fisher was 0.2 quicker than Max Weiland last time around, and you see it already. That lime green John Deere TV kart is closing in here on Max Weiland with 2 laps to go when they cross the stripe. This time around, it's going to be all to play for here for Max Weiland. Ty Fisher definitely closing in. He's a car length away. 2 sticks in the air, and officially crunch time for these 3 drivers.
Yeah, once again, Fisher 4/10 quicker than Max Weiland right now. He might have used a little bit too much of his tire here early on in this one. You don't really see tire wear too much in the rain conditions, but maybe as the track continues to dry, we'll start to see it. But for Ty Fisher, he has his place figured out. Down towards turn 4. Do we see a late lunge to the inside? No. He's going to match the line of Max Weiland here through turn 4. I think that's the way to go. Using that high side, getting a good exit out of the bowl here. Do we see a lunge to the inside of turn number 5? No, but it's a shallower line there, so he's using the inside of the racetrack for a better grip under the brake zone here. We're entering the final lap of this race. Weiland with a pretty good exit out of 6, but through the final corner now. Once again, Fisher about 2 kart lengths back. He needs to make that up for this final lap.
White flag in the air. Ty Fisher, what do you have left in that TB kart? Can you close down your gap to Max Weiland? It's going to be close here, but Ty Fisher going to need a lot. A closer line, a tighter line into turn number 3. Does he have a run down the back straightaway into turn 4? Weiland looking good. Only a car length separates the 2.
Out of 4 through 5. Does Fisher get a good exit? He does. We might see a lunge to the inside for Race Lab TV's Ty Fisher. He's going to throw it up the inside, use a side pod if he needs to. Weiland's going to get put in the dirt. Ty Fisher to the lead.
Ty Fisher gets the move done into turn number 4, and now he looks to go around the last corner. Vanchev looking to close in. He's not going to be close enough. Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Junior.
Wow, Ty Fisher doing everything he needed to do for that $1,000 check. You know, you always ask drivers, what would you do for the money? Right there. That's what it takes. That's what you would do when you put money on the line. You see the thumbs up there from Alexander Vanchev. Max Weiland further back, you see the heartbreak for the Magic driver there. And I'm sure on one side it's going to be elation. On the other side it's going to be heartbreak for the Magic team. But nonetheless, that's all part of racing, right? There's always going to be, you know, one team that's really happy, one team that's not. And still for Max Weiland, you can see what it meant to him. He led every single lap. He needed 3 more corners.
There's 2 sides to every story for the Lime Green TB Kart team, the Race Lab TB Kart team. It's going to be the best day ever for them, and for Max Weiland, going to be a day to forget. But this kid could be proud of the drive he put on and the show he put on. This kid drove his heart out, and unfortunately, definitely didn't come together for him. But for the kid that it did, Ty Fisher wins $1,000 here, and you see the crowd ecstatic for Ty Fisher. Everybody cheering on. You see his dad there, Craig Fisher, happy for his son, able to get it done. And again, they're ecstatic about that. But I know Robbie Bodishow are going to be heartbroken about that. I guess losing the lead there on the last lap, Alex. They were oh so close to those $1,000.
Yeah, all it took was just a better exit out of the bowl corner for Ty Fisher, and I saw it coming because his line throughout the race had shifted towards that bottom side of the racetrack for turn number 5, and you know, for sure, we get the confirmation there. It's going to be, you know, no call there. Ty Fisher, clean racing, they call it. And again, when you put $1,000 on the line, that's what a driver's going to do for it. So Ty Fisher, congratulations, buddy. You're $1,000 richer.
Yeah, and we'll speak to him here in a couple of moments' time. But this kid delivered some great racing action, and he had a stick in it. I asked what he had left in store, and that's exactly what he had left. He was definitely saving that in the books. You saw him try it a lap prior, took that closer line, the tighter line into that turn, and couldn't get it done. But the next lap around, he was able to get close enough. He was able to go deep enough on the brakes to go through and get the move done. So for Ty Fisher, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't matter if it's just a shootout. That's his first national race victory. So again, congratulations to Ty Fisher. But out onto the racetrack now, your KA100 seniors for their shootout practice here, Alex.
Yeah, and if you're the senior drivers, you go out there and watch that junior main event. You, for one, you can learn a couple of things because the chassis are, you know, in terms of overall size, identical, right? It's just the engine package, really, and a couple other things that are different. So you can learn a lot for the lines. You can learn a lot for, you know, which line is better or not. And you can learn a lot if you're like AJ Myers. You have, you know, kind of a dog in the fight. If you're Max Weiland, right? You can learn in terms of, okay, what do we do the setup for Max Weiland? What can we do similar for myself if I'm AJ Myers? So, yeah, I think a couple drivers are going to learn from that one.
Yeah, and Sarah Fisher standing by with Ty Fisher, I should say. Sorry, Sarah Bradley standing by with Ty Fisher. I'm sorry, Sarah. We'll send it down to you.
Ready? All right. Standing by with our winner in the KA Shootout, TB Ty Fisher. What does it mean, $1,000?
I mean, it feels good. First national win, so it feels really good. And to get it with my whole team here and everyone supporting me, it feels awesome.
That's great. Max was leading pretty much the whole race. What were you thinking mid-race? Did you think you could catch him, or were you just trying to hit your marks and maybe hope he'd mess up, or did you know that you were gaining on him?
Yeah, mid-race, I didn't quite have the pace of Alex and Max, but I just kept studying their line, and then the last 4 laps, I was able to put down some solid laps and catch up to Max and make the pass on the last lap.
Yep. I think you really pressured him into a mistake. Was that the strategy, or did that just happen?
That was kind of the strategy, just trying to play it along, and worked out for us this time, so hopefully we can get it tomorrow as well.
Yep. Good job, Ty. Who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, my mechanic Damon, Aiden and Xylus for helping out, for putting the wet setup on, and everyone else under the TB Kart tent.
Thank you. Ty Fisher, back to you guys.
Thank you there, Sarah, as we hear from Ty Fisher. And what a race for Ty Fisher. He was able to get it done, but on the racetrack now, your KA100 seniors for their shootout practice. And Alex, give you the honors, run us through our layout here after the wet weather conditions.
Yeah, for sure, for these senior drivers, right? It's going to be the practice sessions, and then obviously it's going to be a 5-minute practice session here. Then it's going to be heat 1 and 2. They're both going to be 8 laps, and then it's the main event, a 15-lap main event here, Caleb.
And again, one thing to note, the heat races are determined by a pill pick system.
That's
so
awesome.
a lot of, and I'll say this, a lot of, I guess, of the older gentlemen in the sport want the racing to be that way. It's got to be pill pick. That's how it was back in the day. That's how it's going to be here tonight. You're going to pill pick where you're starting in the heat race, and then it's going to invert for the second heat race. So if you picked all the way in the end, and if you're AJ Myers, you got to race your way up, and then the next race around, you're going to start on the pole position. So it's going to be an action-packed race for sure. And again, practice 5 minutes long. Heat race 1 going to be 8 laps, as well as heat race number 2. That's going to be determined by a pill pick system. And this is where the hot pit comes into play. You have 10 minutes to work on the go-kart. After those 10 minutes, the hands are up. You need to put the go-kart on the ground and get on with your racing action. So we'll see what they can do, and it's going to be a wild one, to say the least here, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. You're seeing already these senior drivers, these experienced drivers, especially the ones like Gafarar and others, like Massimino, right? Like Phillips, like Brickley, like Emery Lida, exploring parts of the racetrack that they know, right? They've done this track in the rain many times before. This is a layout and not many drivers have driven, if any. I know Emery has driven it, but not many others, if you're not a local to this place, have driven this layout, especially in the rain. Probably zero, I would bet here, Caleb. So this is a brand new racetrack, and this is what you'd want when there's $4,000 on the line.
Hey, and where is Emery Ladd out there on the racetrack? I'm not biased, but my co-host has a good shot going into this race here today, and we'll see what he can do. I told him, I was like, you got to get on that magic carpet and take it all the way to the front, Emery. You got to do what you got to do to get up there. So we'll see what our co-host can do, and we said it there last week. If you're in the shootout, man, we're going to go crazy on Sunday night.
Yeah, well, right now he's 13th, about 9/10 off the lead, but nonetheless, I mean, this first session, the practice session, is always kind of a blind one for a lot of these drivers, mechanics, team owners, coaches, because you don't really know what to expect. The track is starting to dry up. I don't think even when it comes to the main event, it'll be time for slicks, maybe if somebody wants to gamble. Because right now, I will say, Caleb, those rooster tails are starting to quiet down quite a bit. Look at this, checkered flag already in the air. That's how fast 5 minutes goes by. You don't really have a whole lot of data to go off of your drivers, so hopefully they all got clean enough laps to learn something, go back to the drawing board, and do some setup changes for that quick hot pit before we get ready for the heat races. Obviously, we still have a good pill draw, but nonetheless, Kai Hunter.
I'm not surprised, man.
Your fastest driver. He's a Brit. He knows how to do this.
I'm not surprised one bit. Kai Hunter showed us his pace at the Mooresville Trinity Club of Cincinnati for the second round of the SCUSA Pro Tour, and that flying Brit is back here this weekend. He's at the top of the timing charts in the warm-up session, the practice session, the only practice session they're going to have for the KA Senior Shootout. And I promise you, this is the most unique and probably the most fun that Kai Hunter is going to have this weekend racing a go-kart. And he's definitely never seen anything like this. Caleb Gaffera, the hometown kid, going to be second. Weinberg third. AJ Myers, who's now a North Carolina native after moving from Florida here, he's going to start fourth. Fast Frankie Mossman, P5. Dalton Haynes, P6. Buscalia, you go back to Massimino. Peyton Phillips, Hayden Jones rounds up your top 10. We go back to Brickley, Lida, Stephen Miller, Finnegan Bailiff, and Steven Isert. Your 15 drivers, and you go back with a couple of more with James Overbeck, who's 16th at the moment. He got in as well off a promoter's pick, so that's something to look out for here, Alex. But we look onto the grid, and it's going to be a hot pit here coming our way in a couple of moments' time, and that's going to be exciting. They're going to get busy, and they're going to go at it here in a couple of moments' time. All the mechanics going to be coming together to work on whatever the feedback, whatever these drivers relay back to their mechanics, and they're going to do either a lot of gear changes and whatever they need. And if you're the team like Chad Dawkin Racing, you're going to be short-handed, right? Because you probably don't have enough mechanics with 4 drivers in the shootout for the RPG Cosmic team as well. Everybody coming here and working on Kai Hunter's and Hayden Jones's machines. For RPM as well, you have Emery Lida and Peyton Phillips. For the Magic team, everybody going to be working on AJ stuff, and as well for Speed Concepts Racing, they're going to be focused on Fast Frankie Mossman. All right, so the whistle did blow, so everybody getting to work. Alex is caught up with fast Frankie Mossman. What do you boys got for us?
Thank you, Caleb. The whistle just blew, so it's frantic down here. So, Frankie, you went out there pretty quick practice session. I mean, 5 minutes went by like this, like a snap of a finger. You know, where do you think you stand right now with the go-kart?
I mean, I think we need to work on it a little bit. I think a lot of it's me. I think it's a lot more physical than the dry. So whatever I said earlier, just completely disregard that because right now I am feeling it. So I think we're going to come in tomorrow, at least have an idea because it looks like it's going to rain tomorrow as well. And so I think being in the shootout tonight is really going to help benefit us, and hopefully we're going to double down.
Yeah, but I mean, disregard tomorrow. We got $4,000 to win tonight. I mean, you think you have a shot right now? We got 2 heats, obviously, before even the main event. So, you know, where do you think you stand?
I'm just going to try to keep my nose clean. Everyone seemed to be pretty similar to each other. I think Caleb looked pretty quick. I think AJ was quick. I don't know where everyone else really stood, but I think everyone's going to stay pretty similar, throwing dive bombs on each other, and it's going to be nuts. So I think it's all going to be about survival, and especially in the first 2 heats, and just put myself in the right position. I think it's going to really come to us.
I mean, rain racing's rain racing, right? So you've done it in the car. You did it actually back in Portland literally last week. But you haven't raced in the rain in a kart in quite some time. Did you remember how to drive at all in the rain?
I mean, I have a big forearm pump, and they told me it was just the way I was driving it. So, I mean, you can't really do that when you're strapped into a car. So I'm trying to use my weight when there's not really much of it. So I'm trying to throw myself around, getting the least amount of grip that I really can. And so just going to try and figure it out as much as possible. But I don't know. Again, the last time I drove a kart in the wet was Orlando. So give or take, and especially first time here, it's all new to me.
Thank you, Frankie.
Yep, thank you.
All right, let's walk around. Let's try to find a couple more drivers. I see Adam Brickley here. Adam. What's up, dude? All right, Adam. Your mechanics over here working pretty hard in your go-kart right now. You drove a 5-minute session out there. I mean, you know, where do you think you stand right now?
I mean, it didn't go too well, but, you know, we still got a little bit to work on. So I think we may end up getting a little bit up there, but I don't know. We got a lot of good guys out here.
You're a pretty tall dude. I mean, I think you're probably pretty quick in the rain. Do you think it's going to help you out here for the heat races?
Yeah, I think it'll help it out a little bit. It's really, if we're still doing that pill draw thing, I think it's mainly on that. But, yeah, we'll give it a try.
$4,000 in the line. Did that shift your mindset at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, thank you, Adam.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's see who else we can find. 16 drivers here in a KA Senior Shootout. I think I see some of the BJR MDR drivers here working pretty hard. James Overbeck. James, you're eyeing your go-kart pretty hard here. You've had a rough day. I mean, for a driver who's been pretty strong all year long in the KA Senior class, what do you think's gone wrong so far today? I don't want to say wrong, but to be 16th out of 16 in the shootout practice, I think something's not been right for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I think we definitely missed a gear on the warm-up, and yeah, I think just trying to figure it out with setup. I mean, I feel like I used to be pretty good in the rain, but I don't know. Ever since they added where you had to have a minimum rear width, you know, I feel like I've struggled in the rain a lot, and never really have had time to find a good setup for it. So, yeah, I think we were definitely way off of gear. I think that'll help a bunch. But yeah, today's definitely been rough for sure. So it's cool to get in the shootout, but I hope we can at least do better than what we did this morning for the heat races or for the heat race. So yeah, hopefully we can figure it out. But yeah, it's definitely been a rough weekend. Hopefully we can turn it around this evening.
I don't know if you got a chance to watch that KA Junior Shootout main event, especially the last lap. A couple of drivers used a bit of elbow grease to get by each other. What do you think it's going to take to make some passes around this track layout?
It's definitely going to be a lot of rubbing. You know, I'm using a lot of the side pods and bumpers. I mean, I could even see even in the warm-up, I mean, people are racing pretty hard up in front of me. So, yeah, it'll definitely be tough. A lot of aggressive racing. I mean, I feel like the layout's pretty simple too, so that helps a lot, and will lead to a lot of close racing. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll definitely be eventful. It'll be fun for people to watch at home. But from the racer side, it'll be a lot going on at the same time, and hopefully we can keep up.
All right, thank you, James.
Thank you.
All right, behind James, I think I have a decent view here of Dalton Haynes. Dalton, I think he's busy here, but let's see if we can get a little word with Dalton Haynes. Dalton, you have a quick second here to chat? Oh, he's talking tire pressures here with Brandon Carr. You see. He's trying to get advice here from Brandon. Brandon's actually going to start helping him work on the go-kart while we talk to
and
Dalton.
it seems like Dalton's going to take time to take the chance and talk to you. So get in there, get his face with the mic in his face, and we'll see what Dalton has to say.
All right, thank you, Caleb. Dalton, you're down a little bit on pace in the practice, but nonetheless, it's just a practice session. You're really trying to figure out, what gear, what setup to be on. For a driver who's local to this racetrack, this is probably one of the layouts you have the least amount of laps on, if any at all, especially in the rain. So, where's your mindset at heading to this first heat race?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any laps on this layout specifically, especially not in the rain. But it's no difference, It's wet. We just need to work on pressures. That's the only thing. Our gear was good. The engine feels good. Thank you. Huge shout out to Chris Knockman. He gave us an engine and tires for this race. I mean, we wouldn't even have made it out, because I only have one engine. So really big thank you to him. But, yeah, no, we're quick. So I feel good. Kart feels good. Just make some adjustments on the TB kart, and we'll get rolling.
All right, thank you, buddy. I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you.
All right, let's see if we can get a couple other drivers here. Further back, we got Steven Eisert. Steven, buddy, let's get a quick word here. You've been pretty quick all week long heading into this race. $4,000 on the line now. Is that going to, maybe shift, the way you would have driven this race if it was a heat race?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, heat race, you don't get any money now. $4,000 is a lot, it could help me. So, yeah, I'm really excited, but got to drive a little better in this next session.
After that practice session, I mean, is there a whole lot you guys are throwing at the go-kart, or do you think you guys hit it right the first time?
We were a little narrow in the rear the first time, so we fixed that. But honestly, it was mostly on me driving, wasn't driving it hard enough. But this next time, the coaches at Soda USA were really helping me there. So hopefully I can do a little better this time.
Thank you, Steven.
Thank you.
All right, let's see if we can get a word with AJ Myers. We saw him eyeing his go-kart, especially after Max Weiland put it on pole and obviously was a couple corners away from winning the shootout. So let's see if we can find AJ, maybe get a word with him here. I see the two Boydishow brothers here together. I don't see AJ here. I do see AJ. AJ, quick word with you here. What up, dude? All right, we saw your little buddy Max Weiland be 3 corners away from $1,000. I bet you're hoping for a little bit of a better night, but did you guys learn anything that you can use from the junior stuff into your senior setup?
Yeah, it definitely helps when you have him out there. Obviously, he was the fastest thing out there. I think he's in there banging his head. He's not going to forget that one. His race to lose, and he lost it. So hopefully I don't do that, yeah.
Looking at this layout heading into tonight, before the rain came, it looked like it was going to be a draft fest, right? These KAs going to be screaming on the on this engine package. But now that it's wet, how do you expect it to race?
Whoever's faster is faster, and there's no more pack racing. Hopefully there's not too much side potting going on, and keep it on the track.
Thank you, AJ.
All right, thanks.
Let's see if we can get a couple more drivers here looking around. Maybe we could find, there's Parker DeLong, he's got a helmet on. Hayden Jones has a helmet on, but let's see if we can talk to him either way. Hayden, I know it's going to be hard to hear in the helmet, and the engines are pretty loud around here, but I'm going to talk loud enough for you to hopefully hear me. How was warm-up for you?
Hot. It's very hot in this rain suit.
Hot? Yeah. Well, other than hot, did you guys have to change a whole lot, or do you think you got it right the first time?
No, I'm just going to work on my driving.
Thank you. A lot of words out of Hayden Jones.
Good
luck, buddy.
Hayden as well. So good luck to Hayden who's going out, Alex. Why don't we hear from the Brit and Kai Hunter? His teammate is not too far away.
Yeah, I do see Kai Hunter here. Kai, quick word from you, buddy. A Brit, right? Pretty good in the rain so far. P1 in the warm-up session. Do you think, obviously, being a Brit and kind of helped you out here?
Well, it must do a bit because we get quite a bit of rain, so I think it helps to an extent, but yeah, I don't know. I think the Brits are quite good in every condition, so I think we do a good job of driving.
You're a driver who's done the X30, done the road tax. You haven't really done KA, right? The only thing you got similar over there in England is Club 100. Have you got a chance to do any of that, or did you come into this weekend pretty blind to this package?
Oh yeah, completely blind. To be honest with you, I've never even seen the kart before this, so this is all brand new to me. Mike wanted us to race it, so here I am.
Thank you, Kai.
Thanks.
Good luck, buddy. All right, looking around the paddock here, I see Peyton Phillips walking by. We see a couple of frantic changes here from Roman Haynes on his brother Dalton Haynes' go-kart here. Let's see if we can get a word potentially here. This is Chase Buscalia. Chase, let's get a quick word with you, buddy. You've been, around the top 10 for a majority of the day, 14th, right, 6th in that heat race, so pretty solid run for you so far. The Chad Docker Racing crew as a whole has been pretty strong. I mean, is that what it felt like under the tent?
Yeah, I mean, everyone under our tent's really strong. We got 4 guys in the shootout tonight. We've all been really good. Ended up P3 in that heat in my group, and then a bunch of our teammates ended up in the top 5. So we've just been on rails all day, and hopefully we can keep it up.
You've been pretty quick in the dry. How's your rain racing?
My rain racing has improved a lot. Last year I ended up being one of the worst in the country, but I got some practice at SSKC over the winter, and I just got a lot better. So we got like a P7 in this warm-up, so I mean, I think it'll be good.
Thank you, Chase.
Of course.
Good luck, buddy. All right, let's see if we can get a couple more drivers here looking around. I see Stephen Miller, see KA100, we spoke to him, Hayden Jones as well. There's Adam Brickley. Looking for a couple of other drivers maybe we haven't spoken to. I know there's about 20 seconds or so left, so maybe we can get a mic in one other driver's face. There's Finn Bailiff. Let's see if we can get to the front of the grid and get a good look at Caleb Gaffara here. 1 minute left here, boys. 1 minute left for the first of 2 heat races tonight for KA100 Senior. We're going to send it back onto the booth here.
There's a look at your starting grid for heat number 1 with the KA100 Senior Shootout. They will invert this lineup back for heat number 2. So Parker DeLong and Caleb Gaffara get to start on the front row with the Ruthless Karting X-Spree on the inside and the Chad Duncan Racing Kart Republic on the outside. James Overbeck and Stephen Miller will make up row number 2.
We're back to Steven Eisert and Finnegan Bailiff on row number 3. Dalton Haynes and Adam Brickley, your top 8 starters.
With Frankie Mossman on the inside of row 5 and Hayden Jones on the outside. They're smack dab in the middle. That's a safe place to be. Cameron Weinberg and KA100 on row 6. Massimino, Lida, and then the front rows for the next race. Buscalia, Myers, and Peyton Phillips, who rolls tail end back there in the 17th position. Here we go, coming down the front straightaway to get set to go green. Heat number 1 is ready. KA100 Senior, the first of the 2 heats, has set the main. No green that time by. We're going to send them around again with Parker DeLong and that black and orange Ruthless X-Spree. So we'll go on attempt number 2. In fact, Caleb, that will mark it as pretty much every single shootout attempt to go racing tonight has not been good enough on the first time by for the officials.
And again, everybody's getting on it a little bit too early. Justin Dittrich made a point of it with the KA100 juniors to make sure they were punching off inside of the start box and not too early. Again, they want to keep it nice and clean in the turn number 1. A lot of money on the line, and it can get hectic here, but again, you have 3 races still to go. You have this one, heat number 2, where it's going to invert, and then the main event to, I guess, wrap up the shootout here in KA Senior, presented by CNC Performance Engineering.
Stephen Eisert right there on that black and orange Sodi took a quick run through the puddle. We know this track is going to eventually dry out. However, when will that crossover point be, and if we'll get there has been still to be determined and up for debate. But as Justin says, he wants them to wait to the blue cone. This time, again, no green, and I think we might be inverting that front row as they did not wait until the cone. So, yep, I think by that hand signal, they might be saying that that front row is going to get set back to row number 2. So, we will wait until they get back to a round 2 and official. They don't have anyone posted up on the straightaway of the backstretch. I would imagine if they're going to invert them, they're going to do it after this infield hairpin. If, again, they're going to place the blame on the top 2 starters of Parker DeLong and Caleb Gaffera. I don't know if that's where the blame could get placed. If so, though, that's what would put James Overbeck and Stephen Miller on the point, and they would get 2 tries. But it looks like they're going to give them another shot, maybe thinking that it was more on the drivers behind being a little bit too antsy. So we will go for attempt number 3. Now, at the moment, it's showing that it's burned some of the laps. It'll be up to the officials if they want to give them the full 8 or if we're going to call it. There you go, even Jordan Perry, another one of the assistant race directors. There's the boss, Eric Jones, pointing at all of them, saying, keep it slow, boys and girls. We are not going fast. You got to wait till that cone. Now, I think we're good enough. Green flag for Heat 1 in KA Seniors CNCPE KA Shootout. And a good jump for Parker DeLong and James Overbeck. They'll jump out to the early lead. Everybody else is going to get to about single file, only from 6 on back. The rest are fanned out side by side of the bowl and all trying to find a few different lines for grip. But here, this is going to be interesting. This hairpin where Ty Fisher got the win a moment ago. When does it start to become easier and faster to run the bottom? You just saw Caleb Gaffera take the lead by going to the bottom side. And he'll take them out of the last turn. At the point, DeLong back to P2.
Yeah, Gaffera passed for second and had a really good run for first. There's Overbeck to the bottom of the racetrack. Looking to go on Gaffera, not close enough. Bailiff looking to go on Overbeck. He's up to the 4th spot. Stephen Miller goes up to second, and everybody else going single file all the way throughout this field, but they continue to fight it out. Update on Kai Hunter. He just got around what looks to be Cameron Weinberg here, if I'm not mistaken.
So with Caleb Gaffera out in front now, Parker DeLong dropping back behind Finnegan Bailiff and into the 4th position, maybe even further back. Dalton Haynes now trying to challenge on him. Big off for the Magic Man. AJ Myers gets back on the racetrack just ahead of Kai Hunter, and the Brit's going to send it down the inside. More drivers experimenting with that inside curve in turn 11. We hardly ever see anyone clip the curve there, even in the rain on the normal layout. But that extra run and momentum they have is obviously making it a bit quicker to do so. Up the hill, 2 complete. 6 to go. Gaffera trying to get away, and Stephen Miller doing the same as off the racetrack further back. Peyton Phillips goes and bounces through the dirt coming off turn 3.
Way off there for Peyton Phillips there and cut the grass just a little bit on the exit of turn number 4. Now everybody else looking to make moves on the inside there. Hayden Jones goes through on Steven Eisert. Overbeck gets a little loose there side by side with Cameron Weinberg. And at turn number 12, Weinberg able to stay ahead, and there's Kai Hunter going over the curb, looking to go on AJ Myers. The 2 of them make side-by-side contact, and they're not happy with each other, so they're continuing to go through. On the inside now for Hunter, and at turn number 1, he's able to get clear. Myers has to concede.
Kai Hunter has been marching up the boards now. That'll be about 4 gain for him. Haynes is up a couple now as he's gone by Finnegan Bailiff, so move Dalton to 3rd. I think Hayden Jones as well, probably up one of the best, up into 6th here on the 915 machine. So Hayden Jones marching up the grid. They're 3 wide now to the bottom. Kai Hunter gets 2, and big contact in front of the field. Myers and Weinberg collide. Moore off as well. Mossman off, Overbeck off. But AJ Myers just suffered major damage to that Magic Kart. And look at that. He is not happy with Cameron Weinberg going, dude, do you see what you just did to my nose cone? Into the pit lane as well for the 998 of Parker DeLong. He also got a piece of it. We've got 2 very angry drivers down there at turns 1 and 2.
And again, they're only going to have 10 minutes to fix whatever is broken and whatever went amiss there on that Magic Kart machine. So for that entire team of Andrew Boydishow and Robbie Boydishow, going to have to get to work here as soon as that 10-minute timer starts for them. And that's going to be a lot of work and a lot of fixing to do to that front fairing, and as well for everybody else who was collected into that. We could even see some early retirees from the shootout. As on the inside for the 871, he's able to get clear.
Big move there for Adam Brickley. That's going to be 3 spots gained on the heat race for Brickley. 3 gained for Haynes. More backwards momentum here for Finn Bailiff as Jones goes by, and the 1-2 RPG punch of Hayden Jones and Kai Hunter hits. They both are now up 4 and 5 spots, some of the biggest movers in this heat race. Jones now gets another one there, with Hunter giving a little elbow grease to Brickley on the way by. So they have now gotten themselves into 4th and 5th. Big moves forward with still another lap and a half to go, while the leader, Caleb Gaffera, has opened up the throttle 1.6 seconds over Stephen Miller. Dalton Haynes about a half second back, and then it's another 2 full seconds to the RPG duo who are going to begin to battle. Hunter to the inside of Jones. That's for fourth. He will get clear through the bowl.
Yeah, and for Hunter, came absolutely blinded this weekend, never even driving the KA100 package, but now he's definitely coming into his own. It's just another go-kart, in his words, and he's doing a pretty good job so far, looking to close down his gap down to the likes of Dalton Haynes, Stephen Miller, and Caleb Gaffera. A 1-2 for the Chad Dawkin Racing Kart Republics, but this time around, white flag in the air, one more go-around for everybody, and Gaffera and Miller lapping a lot quicker than the rest of the field. Stephen Miller just set the fastest lap of the race, 2/10 quicker than anybody else at 39.150.
So through turn number 4, now to what is the new turn 5-6 combo, and heading through this double apex 180 left, the run through the dog leg at turn 7 up the hill to what has been known as turn 8 or turn 11. Now is turn number 8. Caleb Gaffera pops the curb and will get a round of applause as he wins the opening heat in the CNC Performance Engineering KA Shootout. Miller second, Haynes third, Hunter, Jones the top 5 to Brickley, Bailiff, and Steven Eisert. But more importantly, AJ Myers, Cameron Weinberg, Parker DeLong, all going out early with major damage. And I know that we are already on the scene ready. And the downside is they do not get any benefit of going to the pit lane early because they have to wait for the race to be official, for the drivers to go through the scales, and then the 10-minute mark will go. I mean, being first in the scale line does help, and now they're going to roll it. So Parker DeLong, Cameron Weinberg, AJ Myers, but by going in 3 to 4 laps early, it did not buy them any extra crash damage repair time, and you can see that they're going to need every second of this window to repair both of those machines, or at least get them raceable, even if they can't do a full-on repair job. So AJ Myers, Cameron Weinberg, we're going to keep the cameras on them to make sure that we get to show you how hard it is to put these go-karts together, period, much less to go out and do that in less than 10 minutes. So they're through the scales, through the width check, and from one end of the story to the other, Caleb Gaffera, easy cruise for the second half of that heat race to get the win, Caleb.
Yeah, and again, a quick update here on penalties after that one. His teammate of Cameron Weinberg got a penalty, the 907, for incident responsibility. That's a 10-position penalty there, Xander.
Let's take a look at that Coastal Link custom printing recap from what we just watched. 8 laps for the opening heat race of the CNC Performance Engineering KA Shootout. Took us a couple tries to get going. Eventually, we did get going, and a slow enough start was allowing the field to survive the first couple of turns, albeit without a little bit of argy-bargy, elbows out racing. Now, through that left-handed hairpin, first we saw AJ, very reminiscent to how his teammate and his protege Max Weiling got kind of put off there at the exit of the corner. Over back even, dropping a little tire there, but lots of 2x2 action. There you saw Myers and Hunter kind of going at it. Then Kai going 3 wide, and then it was just kind of awkward the way that it all came together. I'd love to get a slow-mo of that crash for Cameron Weinberg and AJ Myers to kind of break down a bit of how that transpired. But really, the superhero run of Hayden Jones and Kai Hunter through the field to get into the top 5, it's going to make their starting spot in the main that much easier if they can go and have another good heat, because while Caleb Gaffera got the race win, now he, Stephen Miller, and company will be starting deep in the second heat race when you invert that random draw grid. Whereas for the likes of Dalton Haynes, Hayden Jones, Kai Hunter, well, they're about mid-grid in that heat. For the lineup, they're going to be mid-grid again, and all 3 of them, 3rd, 4th, 5th. They'll have a lot of time. Now let's go down to Alex and start to get some intel from what just went down.
Thank you, Xander. AJ, I mean, we see the frustration. You had to come in early. The damage on the go-kart as well. I mean, what's your kind of take on that race?
Makes me regret racing. The kind of racing that was happening out there, just side potted off left and right, trying to drive me into the barrier. It finally ended up, Weinberg wasn't really at fault necessarily. It just ended up being 4 wide. He tried to make it, and he didn't see it happen. He drove me over, and it was just a factor of how that race was going. It wasn't going to happen.
I mean, other than the contact, how do you think your go-kart felt?
It's fast enough to win the race, so it's just a matter about being a big enough dick to take everyone else out.
Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
All right. You see the choice words there from AJ Myers. You see the frustration as well, so it's just bound to happen. Let's talk to Cameron Weinberg as well. Cameron, You went swimming a little bit there in that first heat race. What's kind of your take on it all?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a space on the inside, so I was like, all right, I got to get through here, get some good points for the final. But apparently there were some more karts out there. I mean, I couldn't see quite by them, so I mean, to me, it's just a racing incident. But I didn't really mean to get into them. It just wasn't enough space on the exit, and we got bad contact. But I don't have any, hard feelings for them. It just happens.
So a DNF for the first heat. The second heat, even if you do pretty well, it's still going to put you maybe mid-pack at best. You feel like you have a good enough piece to go out there and win $4 grand tonight?
Yeah, I'd say probably me, Caleb, and probably Kai are probably the fastest. So I think we can get out there for sure.
Thank you, Cameron.
Yep, thank you.
All right, you probably just heard the whistle blow there. So 10 minutes of action for a lot of these teams, mechanics, owners, drivers to give intel, to do some changes on the go-kart. See James looking at the microphone. We'll let them do their thing for a second here. Let's talk to Paulie Massimino. Paulie, quickly here, some words from Paulie Massimino. Paulie, how do you feel your piece is right now heading to the second heat race?
Well, I just finished last, so it's probably not too good.
What do you think you need to add?
Just need to kind of go once I hit the gas, so that's about it.
Thank you, Paulie.
Thank you.
All right, that's some really good advice from Paulie Massimino. Throttle means go faster. All right, the SLA boys once again hard at work. We saw them hard at work in the microswift class for Marcelo Flores. Once again for Dalton Haynes, they look like they're adjusting the seats. They probably moving the seat back a little bit, add some more rear grip if they need to for Dalton Haynes. Here's some of the RPG boys going at it. Hayden Jones looks pretty good. Ryan Norberg's chatting with Hayden Jones. Let's actually talk to both these guys. Hayden, seemed pretty good in that first heat race. What do you think you need for the second one?
Just go look at the data. Kai was really fast, so just look at his data and see where I'm slower. I think it's only one corner, so I should figure it out pretty fast, but the track's drawing, so it's going to be kind of like a dice roll. You never know what's going to happen.
Thank you, Hayden.
Thank you.
All right, let's actually go talk to Kai here because, like you said, he was pretty quick, and I'd love to get his advice on the incident as well here. So if I can just squeeze by some of these team owners and drivers. Kai, quickly, buddy, quickly. Just one question. You were really fast. Obviously, a bit of argy-bargy happened in this race, but that's part of it when it comes to rain racing. How'd you see it all?
Yeah, well, I try to pass everyone in front of me. I think if you're there, then I'm going to come past you. Like, it is what it is. I think he doesn't understand, like, rubbing his race and stuff like that, which I'm fine with that. Like, that's him, but, like, I race out there hard. If you can't match it, then that's not my fault.
Rain's slowed down and stopped fully here. The track is starting to dry. Where do you see it heading into heat race and the feature race?
I think the heat race will probably be still on wets, but it's going to be really, really close to dry for the final. It's just very, very patchy everywhere, so we'll see.
Thank you, Kai.
Thanks.
All right, let the RPG boys get back to work. I know they want to look over their data and stuff, so we'll let them all go hard at work here. We see Dalton changing gears here. We saw them move the seat back. I know Roman was doing that yesterday as well, so now they're moving the seat back, changing the gear as per usual.
We're moving the seat forward, not back. Come on, get it straight.
You know what, Dalton? You want to talk? You're doing a lot of changes here. I'm not going to ask you what you're doing, but after that first heat race, where would you like your go-kart to be for the second heat?
Yeah, I just needed more down the straight. I think it was pretty obvious. I mean, no one's listening to the broadcast here, so I'm going to go on a lower gear, and then we're going to hopefully have a bit more grip when we move the seat forward. I'm the only one on the TB, so. But, yeah, I'm just going to have some fun. You know what I mean? I like these races. I'm starting in the back this session. I'm just going to be careful. Let everyone kill each other. If they kill each other, they kill each other. I'm keeping my go-kart for tomorrow. I'm just going to be careful. If it becomes a situation where it's do or die and I'm in 7th place, I'm going to just hang back, And then if in the final, if we're there, we're there. Last year we were. This year we could be. I think it might be dry tire for the final, though.
Thank you, Dalton.
You're welcome.
All right, good luck, buddy. All right. Dalton wants a little bit more grip on the front. Interesting from Dalton, he actually is lowering the gear, which means he went a little bit too far the other end for that first heat race. There's a good look at, I believe, Overbeck's go-kart there. So, no, this is Overbeck's go-kart. James, your go-kart is pretty dirty here. Did you go swimming?
A little bit. There was a little incident in front of me, but yeah, I had to go into the grass to avoid it. But I don't know, still not as fast as I want to. I think the first few laps I was driving a little scared, honestly. But the last few laps I was picking it up a little bit, but still just not where we wanted. So I'm not really sure what needs. Honestly, I hope it dries because then I feel like I got a really good shot, at least being up there. I mean, right now I'm like fighting for last, so yeah, definitely need a lot of work. But I don't know. I mean, me and Paulie both seem to be struggling a little bit, so I'm not sure what's really going on, what the other teams have figured out that we don't. But yeah, it sucks not be up front, but I definitely need to get better in the rain, though. Like I said before, I feel like in junior I was pretty good in the rain, but I don't know. Ever since I moved up to senior, it just hasn't been as good. So I'm not sure, but we'll see. Got another race, but track's drying pretty fast, honestly. So I think for the final we might be seeing dry tires, which I hope we do, but we'll see.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
All right, as the team owners, mechanics, drivers continue to work on their go-kart, we're going to send it all back to you boys in the booth.
Thanks, Alex. Let's take a look back at that replay here. We're going to go back down to Alex and hear more from him and get a few more bits from the drivers. We got a lot of them already. We had a lot, obviously, after that warm before the first heat race. We'll go down for some more intel in a moment, but we'll pull up that shopakr.com replay of a slow-motion look here. Again, this starts off with Kai Hunter going down the inside 3 wide, and like AJ said, it kind of bottled up as DeLong was trying to hang on, and yeah, even at slow speed, it all happens just so fast. And, you know, hearing the sentiment, obviously AJ the most fired up. To be fair, he was the one that got the worst end of the stick trying to be as cautious as he could. But all the drivers kind of echoing that, man, I think they all were taken aback, Caleb, by just how, you know, lack of give and all take everybody was in the first heat. You know, in years past, these have actually paid a bit of a cash bonus. This year they don't. I mean, this is strictly setting the grid for the main, Caleb.
Yeah, and for all these drivers, I mean, when you go into the main event, that's where all the money is, $4,000. And in AJ's interview that I had with him earlier on in the day, he was more worried about bringing the cart home than you know, winning the money in the shootout. So for him, unfortunately, couldn't do that here. I believe that only looked to be a bent steering shaft. Tie rod seemed to be fine when he crossed into the scale line. So not too bad considering the circumstances there for AJ Meyer. So definitely going to have to grab a mallet, whatever he's got left, and try and straighten that thing out.
Well, there's about 2 minutes left till heat number 2 goes green, which gives us a moment to step away and hear from our partners. We will return with the second heat race from the CNC Performance Engineering KA100 Shootout and then go into that final break before the main event, and thousands of dollars are up for grabs.
Massive turnouts, world-class venues, and an awesome family-friendly atmosphere. All of these and more are pillars of the U.S. Pro Kart Series, which is gearing up for its biggest season yet in 2023. Orlando, Houston, Newcastle, Cincinnati, and Mooresville. Welcome to the top level of North American karting. Welcome to the U.S. Pro Kart Series.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental U.S.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Car Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Car Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate. And 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States. And Australia, you're up next. So visit carclass.com to get your track information.
USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida.
the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
Well, the countdown to green has just about hit 0. Here's one more look at how they stacked up at the end of heat number 1 for your CNC Performance Engineering KA Shootout. Caleb Gaffera and Stephen Miller top of the heap over Dalton Haynes, Kai Hunter, and Hayden Jones. Adam Brickley representing for all the privateer efforts out there, along with Finn Bailiff putting a couple Kart Republics there. First, second, then those two, 6th, 7th. Chase Buscalia, 9th for 5 out of the top 10. Stephen Eisert on the Sodi there in 8th. And Emery Lida, the fan vote winner on the Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart, 10th. Peyton Phillips, 11th. But for a lot of the OTK groups outside of the Rollison Performance Group duo, that is all of everyone from 10th down to 14th. The last drivers there across the line came from Speed Concepts Racing, BJR MDR, and Ryan Perry Motorsport. 3 of the big 4 OTK teams, if you will, along with Rollison Performance Group. It was a variety of different brands at the front. This one was up front before it got into a bit of a skirmish. And now, at least AJ Myers is going to have a little better starting spot for heat number 2. In fact, we're going to get set to bring you the starting lineup for the invert and how they will get set to go this second time around. So let's go back and we will find how they will line for the KA100 Senior Shootout second heat race. Again, this is a complete invert of what the grid was from heat number 1. So there's a look with Emery Lida. He gets a better starting spot towards the front. Hayden Jones, Kai Hunter, they were about mid-grid. They'll start about mid-grid in this one as well. You can see Hunter rolls off from the 6th spot along with Paulie Massimino. 2 vastly different results from heat 1. 2 very similar starting spots. They'll have the similar starting spots again in heat number 2. Let's take a look at that starting lineup as they roll onto the racetrack. Once again, to give you an idea of where the drivers will be for heat number 2 in the CNCPE KA Shootout. This time, Peyton Phillips goes from the back to the front, and AJ Myers hopefully was able to get everything fixed that he needed. He said he felt like that kart was good. As long as he doesn't get taken out, he feels like he can walk away with this one, Caleb.
And you're back to Chase Buscalia, Emery Lida on row number 2. Paulie Massimino and Kai Hunter, who had a lot of pace, went purple in the first of the heat races. He's going to start on row number 3 alongside Paulie. Cameron Weinberg and Hayden Jones starting alongside each other on row number 4.
Back to row 5. Frankie Mossman, again, as we mentioned, needs to find a little more here in this second heat race. Didn't really move forward in the first one. Adam Brickley did. Got roughed up a bit at the end. Still rolls off in a safe spot for heat 2 from the outside of row 5, along with Dalton Haynes and Finnegan Bailiff lining up right behind the pair of them in row number 6.
We're back to row number 7 with Stephen Eisert and Stephen Miller. James Overback and Caleb Gaffera, the first heat race winner of the night, going to start alongside each other on row number 8. Parker DeLong starting on his lonesome on row number 9. He had an early DNF for the first heat race, so he really needs a good result here in the second one if he wants to put himself in contention for the money and to put himself in a good spot starting for the main event. You see a lot of drivers kind of opting to go into the grass there and onto the racetrack, so that's a very interesting take. I saw Kai Hunter do that the last time around, but into the tram lines we go for heat number 2 in the KA Shootout.
Phillips on the inside on the blue and yellow helmet, that red and white Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart. Myers on the outside on the white, blue, and orange Magic Kart. It took them a couple tries to go green in heat 1. Let's see if heat 2 is good enough. It is on the first time by. Parker DeLong slowly rolling from the back of the field as AJ's able to just get in line, and one driver just nailed that barrier. I think it might have been Hayden Jones in the 915, and he is already off the racetrack over in turn number 3.
You see dry patches starting to form on the racetrack as well, so think about how much this racetrack's going to dry, but Emery Lida already up to the 3rd spot and chasing down AJ Myers. Behind him, Paulie Massimino holding up a big gaggle of go-karts there. Cameron Weinberg right behind him. Kai Hunter not too far back. There's Weinberg on the inside of Massimino. He looks to get through. Hunter over the curb. They're going to go 3 wide on the main straightaway. Frankie Mossman going lower than the rest. Can he get through? Looks to be only Hunter for him. Massimino going to push him through. Side by side for the Brit and Paulie. Paulie able to get ahead.
Oh, and Hunter and Haynes collide there in turn 3. Now coming through is going to be Chase Buscalia, as Brickley's the next one to drop a tire in turn 3. Big mover. Frankie Mossman on the opening lap, up 4. Buscalia down 7. And Hunter and Haynes get a little bit of a gap now as Stephen Miller sends one on his teammate there in the infield. Haynes drops a tie. A lot of drivers off the edge of the racetrack, and every time they do, they bring more dirt and dust and marbles onto the brake zone in the last turn. And that's why you see a lot of them not only trying to keep the speed going, but just keep the cart underneath them, using all that concrete runoff out of the final corner. So 5 spots up for Stephen Miller, doing what he needs to do, marching up the chains. Caleb Gaffera trying to do the same. He's trapped back in 14th right now, just mired in traffic. And talk about turning around your speed and your luck right now. Peyton Phillips walking away. He's nearly a full second up on Emery Lida, his teammate, who has gone into second. AJ Myers back to third. Then it is Cameron Weinberg in fourth, and fast Frankie Mossman completing the top 5. But RPM 1-2 going from the back to the front, although now Myers just tried to get by, and Emery said not today.
That was close there in turn number 1, and now Myers, kind of that half move really put him on the back foot. Weinberg looking to go on Myers on the inside of turn number 4. Weinberg looking to get clear. He's not close enough, but he has a push from behind with Frankie Mossman. They go side by side into what's now turn number 5, this quick hairpin left-hander, and Mossman able to go through on Weinberg.
So Frankie gets through, and then AJ, a little bit wide, drops a tire right in front of Mossman. Mossman gonna go wide, AJ blocking low, big over-under. Frankie's gonna get a nose down low on AJ, but he'll run out of momentum, and they're gonna go back and forth, and ultimately Stephen Miller is gonna pick up a spot out of it. Here's Hunter down the inside, and it looks like going with him will be Paulie Massimino, who's found some speed here in heat number 2.
There goes Mossman on the inside of AJ Myers into turn 4. Miller looking to follow him through. Mossman's able to get clear. Stephen Miller on the inside of the two of them. He was able to go up, and Miller took advantage of everybody else. He's up to third now.
Stephen Miller was phenomenal at the Nürburgring Nats. That was very similar to the short sprint, figure it out and get after it layout. They were on the familiar Orlando Kart Circuit, Center National Circuit, but they were on a drying racetrack on slicks. Stephen was impressive there. He's impressive now, and he might, with a third-place result and a second in the opening heat, punch his ticket to the pole for the feature. Down the backstretch, there's Gaffera. He'll pick up a spot on AJ, but he needs more to get up to his teammate and at least try to stay close to him. Otherwise, he'll be going back to about maybe second or third, as we've got problems for Dalton Haynes. Into the pit lane early for the Race Lab Karting supported SLA TV with a flat right rear tire.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's Miller now looking on the inside of Paulie Massimino, looking to set up that over-under. And again, I think from this point forward, it's probably going to be a dry line all the way through. A lot of dry patches starting to form on the racetrack as Paulie going side by side there with Caleb Gaffera, who's able to get through into turn number 3.
Yeah, Miller was finally going backwards for a moment because Kai Hunter got by and kind of threw him to the weeds, and that allowed Paulie to also have a shot at him. Ultimately, it ended up with Massimino losing a position. He's going to try and get it back right there. They were side by side, and he'll take Gaffera all the way out to the edge of the racetrack. AJ's back in the mix now with Buscalia in tow, and out of the last turn, white flag in the air. Peyton Phillips, 2.7 seconds out in front of his teammate Emery Lida, and Gaffera this time successful on getting through on Paulie Massimino.
Yeah, you know, Paulie's going to want to go right back here in turn number 4. So what does Paulie do? Is he going to fade low to try and go? And he's not. We're going to look further back with James Overbeck, Finnegan Bailiff. They're just a little off the pace. They're just around the on the edge of the top 10 in 11th and 12th for those two. Kai Hunter going on the inside there of Emery Lida.
Yeah, Mossman got through. Hunter got to third. Lida back to fourth. He's fighting to hang on as Miller pops the curb. Ultimately, Phillips will win the heat race. And at the line, Miller is going to get Lida by about 15 thousandths. So Emery will drop from P2 to P5 on that last lap with a send and a half from fast Frankie Mossman. That might have just taken Mossman to the front row. I don't think it'll be a good enough result to beat out against Stephen Miller, but a top 10 and then a P2, that's a little better than Peyton Phillips' average. It'll be Kai Hunter and Stephen Miller, I think, on the front row. Miller with a 2-4, Hunter with a 3-3. And the tiebreaker probably go down to the fastest lap over the two sessions, which would have come from this session. And that honor would go to Miller if that's the tiebreaker. I'm just assuming here, fastest kart on the racetrack was still Caleb Gaffera. He just couldn't get through the pack quick enough. Ends up down in 7th behind Weinberg, ahead of Massimino. and ahead of A.J. Myers and Chase Buscalia. So Heat 2 in the books. Let's see how we got to the results here with, again, Hayden Jones and Adam Brickley having a much worse run in this second heat than their opening heat on the night so far. Again, the 10-minute clock will start when they get through the scales. But first, it was an invert of the grid, and with 17 carts strong, this really shook things up. Gave a good chance for Peyton Phillips and A.J. Myers to try and capitalize. Peyton did just that, got the lead, got a gap, and he let everyone else fight behind him because he had figured out the track pretty early on. And there you can see the group trying to get around each other in that last turn. We're just not having the packed up pack race we were thinking we were going to have, at least for the moment, while they're still figuring out gearing and tire. And that question of slicks versus reins is still going to be up in the air when they go back onto the racetrack later on. There's how Miller fell back. He dropped a tire on his own as he was probably on the cusp of getting that pole easily. Now it'll go to a tiebreaker, and ultimately we'll have to wait for the official wording and if there's any other penalties that would hit the board before they go green with their feature event. But they've gotten most through the scales now. There's a look at the Brit Kai Hunter. A solid run again in heat number 2, but probably searching for more considering on the raw lap times they were 3/10 off of what Caleb Gaffaro was able to hit. In fact, nobody was faster than Caleb G and the Chad Dawkin Racing crew. Stephen Miller was one of the next best at a 37.33, and outside of one little hiccup, he was almost flawless, really. Emery Light, a good run there into the top 5 and staying consistent with his teammate Peyton Phillips. The Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Karts ran first and second most of the race. And it's not a Grid Talk episode, but, well, Alex has got Emery together, so we'll send it down to you, Al.
Thank you, Xander. Emery, I'd say a pretty solid run for you there until maybe that final lap. You got beat to the line by a couple of drivers, but how would you kind of rate that second heat?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the seat enough. I make too many mistakes, but that last lap I should have covered the inside in the double left, and it was a mistake on my part. But ultimately, I mean, the first heat, when it was a bit more wet, we had a lot of pace. The second heat, the first half of the race, we were great, and then I think the tires just started to burn off and had no reference, couldn't really get more out of it. And then, I mean, I knew Frankie and them were coming. But I mean, yeah, I mean, the Ryan Perry Motorsports machines are rocket ships. I mean, we saw what Peyton's doing up there at the front. We had a 1-2 for the longest time, and I feel like we have something to rock into the final with.
You got the layout you wanted. We talked about it on the podcast earlier this week. This is kind of the layout that you predicted that we were going to get. You wanted this layout. Do you think the track's good enough to go to slicks for this feature?
I'm not going to say that, but you'll find out in about 10 minutes.
All right, good luck, Emery.
Thank you.
All right. I think that kind of tells us the answer that we're looking for in terms of tires. So we'll start to keep an eye on if drivers start to go to slicks or reins. We haven't had the whistle yet to work on go-karts just yet, but Dalton Haynes here. Dalton, we know what happened, but let's see if we can figure out why it happened. Dalton, quick question. We know you had a flat tire. Did you have any, speculation on why it happened, or just one of those racing things?
We checked it about 5 minutes before the session, and I look at the tire pressure. It's at 9.5 when we set it at 10 the session before. And I was like, Brandon, does the tire have a problem? But that's the pressure we're going to go at anyway. We're going to go on 9.5. So I was like, okay, there we go. We poured water on it, poured water on the valve stem, all the screws, and it was fine. There was no bubbles or anything, so it just went flat. We don't know. We think it was the valve stem. But we had pace in that last session. I got passed by Kai and was right on his bumper. So it is what it is, you know what I mean? If you win some, you lose some. But I think we'll be really fast for the final. So I just got to keep my head down and not wreck.
Thank you, Dalton.
Of course.
All right, let's try to find Peyton Phillips here. We haven't got a chance to talk to Peyton much. He struggled in that first heat race as – oh, yep, we are going to slicks here if you're a TB Kart, and that's the delay here for Dalton Haynes. So that's going to give us a pretty good idea of what all these teams are doing. And, yes, I'm looking at a lot of tire guns here, changing tires. Where's Peyton Phillips? Peyton, we spoke after that first heat race. You weren't really happy. I think you're a lot happier now. How would you kind of rate both heat races so far heading to this feature?
I'm not that good in the wet. The first one to say it, I'm not good in the wet. So the first one would be difficult no matter what. We would come into the field nice, made a mistake, bent the front end. We don't have enough time to change it, so that's what we're working with for the rest of tonight. But, yeah, the second one was a lot better. Got an early lead and we knew we were fast, even in the first one.
I don't think it's a mystery at this point. We're going slick tires. So do you think now as the track's drying up, you said you're not quick in the wet, but you're pretty fast in the dry, you confident into the shootout?
Well, we drove our way into the shootout, to be fair, starting from 8th in the heat to get 2nd. So we know how to come to the field. It's going to be a dogfight. There's 4K on the line. Everyone wants a piece, so should be a fun race.
All right, good luck, Peyton.
Thank you.
All right, let's see if we can look around and find some other drivers here. We're looking at the Sodi camp going to work on their piece of machinery here. Looking around, we've talked to Ralston Performance Group already a couple times today. Let's see if we can get a word with Parker DeLong. He's actually he's gotten his hands dirty into this go-kart as well, so he seems pretty busy. I don't want to bother him too much here. Let's talk to Brickley again. We spoke to Brickley a little bit earlier before the first heat race. Adam, quick question. We spoke to you after the practice. You didn't seem that confident. After the 2 heats, how do you feel?
You know, the first heat, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was better than what I expected, and then we go into the second one, and we just didn't have it. So we're going to put everything we got into it and see what happens in the final.
We're taking the rain rubber off. We're putting on some slick tires now. Is that going to give you any confidence?
I think it may make me a little bit more towards the front, but turn 4 is still going to be a little sketchy, so we'll see how it plays out.
Thank you, Adam.
No problem.
Let's get a word with maybe Parker DeLong. Not going to happen here. We're looking a little bit further on. Where's fast Frankie Mossman working on the go-kart as well. Where's Finnegan Bailiff? We haven't talked to Finn or Caleb Gaffera here. I don't really see Finn. I do see Caleb Gaffera, but he's hard at work. Finn Bailiff. Finn, quick question here. Since you're not working on your go-kart, letting the team do it for you. So how do you feel after the 2 heat races?
I feel okay. I don't think we've had it dialed in yet, so we still have plenty more to go. A little nervous having everyone work on my car, not used to it, but I think we'll be good.
I'll let you get your hands dirty here in a second, but does it give you any sort of confidence now you got some slick tires on? You're decently quick in the heat race. I think you still have a bit of find heading into tomorrow, but 4K on the line tonight. What's it going to take?
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
Oh, you're good. 4K on the line tonight. What's it going to take? Slick tires on now.
I just got to send it. That's all I can do. I don't know if we're going to have it 100%, so all I can do is send it.
The track is seemingly dry enough, obviously, for slick tires, but I've heard a couple drivers say there's still some damp spots on the racetrack. What corners are still you have to look out for?
Yeah, turn 4, the bowl, it's pretty slick. I think everywhere else is pretty decent. Maybe the last corner here is kind of slick, but other than that, I think everything else is pretty dry.
Thank you, Finn.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, we see a decent look at the Chad Dawkins Racing crew. They've been pretty fast all weekend. Caleb Gaffero's got a wrench in his hand here, so clearly put on some tires on. I don't want to bother him too much and have a loose tire out there on the racetrack. But Caleb Gaffera hard at work here. You see the team frantically trying to make adjustments because obviously when you go to slick tires, there's still some setup changes you want to do as well. You got to go slightly back to somewhat of a dry setup as best as you can. Only 10 minutes to make something happen here. But Caleb Gaffera obviously taking the wetbacks off. They're looking at the motor a little bit here. Maybe some carburation adjustments as well. So the entire Chad Dawkins Racing crew hard at work. Let's actually get a word of Stephen Miller here because we haven't talked to Stephen a whole lot. Hey, Stephen Miller. Stephen, quick word here. You have the wrong suit on, but you're with Chad Dawkins Racing nonetheless. You've been pretty fast. You're going to start on the front row for the shootout race. You know, how are you heading? How are you feeling heading to this feature?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty confident. I got the motor, I got the chassis this weekend, and I think it's going to be a pretty good race.
You haven't been in the go-kart all too much in the latter half of this year. You know, where was the decision to go back to Chad Dawkins?
I mean, it was kind of a little switchy at the last race, so, I mean, Seth's a really good team owner. He did a lot for me, and it's sad to see I'm ending things with him, but I moved on. I'm with Chad Dawkins now.
You're fast in the rain. Do you think you're as fast in the dry?
For sure. I'm faster in the dry than the rain.
Thank you, Stephen.
Of course.
All right, Stephen Miller, confident as always there, and especially with how fast he's been in the heat races. I don't expect anything less from Stephen Miller here. Caleb Gaffera, let's see if we can get a word with him at some point before they get on the grid because I'd love to talk with him with how fast he's been. It was a good look at the Brandon Jarskak Racing crew going hard at work. Overbeck looking over his go-kart, still pretty dirty from that second heat race, but I think the pace is a little bit better for him. There's Massimino, so they're clearly messing around a little bit more than what they were after the heat races. Are you smiling a little bit more now heading into the shootout?
Yeah, I'm smiling because we got no shot, so might as well just try and enjoy it.
All right, thank you, Paulie.
Thank you.
James, are you as low of a confidence as Paulie, or you think you're a little bit higher than him?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I feel like I was a little bit better that time. Still not great, but a little bit of progress, which that's better than what we've been doing all day. I feel like we've gone backwards, but yeah, with everyone I think putting slicks on, I think it'll make for an interesting race. And I don't know where I start, but there definitely isn't much farther back for me to go from where I was gonna start. So yeah, it should be good. Yeah, like I said, don't got really anything to lose. I already got the cart really dirty, so I can't really get it any more dirty. But we'll see. I think it'll be an exciting race with everyone on slick tires, and we'll see from there.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
All right, that's over back there. Like you said, cart's dirty. Can have some work for him, cut out for him at the end of the day here to clean that go-kart up. I would love to talk to Parker DeLong, but let's get a good look at the Ruthless boys over here working on their go-kart. They are pretty hard at work. Tires are on, at least. That's a good sign. But they seem to still be working on a couple things here for the go-kart. Parker DeLong is, getting his hands dirty. Love to see that as a driver, obviously assisting out on the team. Part mechanic, part driver. It's always important when you're growing up and, learning how to take care of your own equipment here. Parker DeLong, is it possible to get a quick word with you, buddy? Awesome. All right. I don't interrupt you too much here, but you've been pretty quick. I think the luck hasn't been there for you in the heats, but the pace has been there. Yeah. Throwing the slick tires on now, you feel pretty good for the future?
Yeah, we haven't changed much for the heats for the shootout, so we're just going to go for it and see what we got. We haven't really – I pulled in on purpose, didn't really want to spend my time out there and ruin my engine for the rest of the weekend. So we're going to give it our all for this one and see how we do.
You kind of blew up on social media there. You showed up on the Liv Fiat 500. Do you feel like an underdog in this one?
I mean, I don't feel like an underdog, but I mean, we're just running with our friends from Arizona, so we're just having to have a good time. And I got pace. I've ran karts for many of years, but we're just here having a good time.
All right, good luck, Parker.
Thank you.
All right, looking around here, they're putting on the last bit of lug nuts they need on their go-kart. Fast Frankie Mossman looks just about ready here aboard the 900 KA machine. Looking around as well. Where's Caleb Gaffera? Because I know we haven't spoke to him much. I think he's finally ready to maybe get a quick word, if possible here. So, Caleb Gaffera, I just saw him, and now I lost him here. So, there's Chase Bastalia. We spoke with Chase earlier. Look at this. Caleb, you're pouring water on yourself here. I mean, is it hot or something?
It's a little warm out here.
How do you feel overall pace-wise? It's been pretty good. I mean, you're starting close to the front in this one. The entire Chad Dawkins team is pretty hard at work, and you guys have been fast all day.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty solid. I mean, we're out here. I mean, that rain in that last one, we probably could have done slicks, but it would have been a gamble. We didn't take it, but it's all right. Everybody's going new tires for the final, so I think it'll be a good race.
Slicks on a drying racetrack, usually it becomes pretty hard to pass on. Is that what you kind of expect up there?
I mean, you just got to have big balls and send it. So.
All right, good luck, Caleb.
Thank you.
There you go. I probably couldn't set it better myself if I tried. So there's Caleb Gaffera. You see his mindset heading into this one. We heard from Finn. We've heard from Frankie earlier on. He's got the balaclava on, but we're still going to try to talk to him here. Frankie, you got the balaclava on. That's okay. You can leave it on. You've been pretty fast. Now, $4,000. You look great. $4,000 on the line. What do you think?
I think we'll be good. We got 2 minutes. Sorry. We're really fast. The package is really good. Thank you to the team for all the hard work tonight. And I'm just going to go out and do my best right now.
Good luck, Frankie. Thank you. All right, you see his words sped up there. He's in a rush. He's got 2 minutes left, less than 2 minutes probably now, to get the go-kart on the grid and ready to go for a 15-lap shootout event for $4,000 here for these KA senior drivers. Some teams like the Magic Camp are testing their motor, making sure it's still pretty good. It's loud down here on the grid, but nonetheless, I hope you guys can still hear me here. Here's some of the RPG boys. That's Kai Hunter getting their go-kart out onto the racetrack, or onto the grid, sorry. So Kai, he's a Brit. We know he's fast. He's proven it so far in this shootout event tonight. He's starting on that second row, P4. Outside row here on slick tires. It's going to be interesting. I think that's the biggest storyline here heading into this feature race. This is an unknown territory for a lot of these drivers. They're going from rains to slicks. We heard from Caleb Gaffera. He said he thinks that heat number 2 could have been on slicks. Nonetheless, we're about to get 1 minute to go here on the grid, so we're going to send it on back to you boys up in the booth.
All right, so with the last few drivers going down on the grid, here's a look at the 901 of Peyton Phillips. And, well, overall, let's take a look at the lineup here, how they're going to be ready to go for this main event. $4,000 on the line, presented by CNC Performance Engineering. It has been a fun night. It has been a long night, a long bit of waiting here. 10:50 p.m. Eastern time. We were slated to begin all the night festivities at 7:30. Had a rain and lightning delay of nearly an hour and 15 minutes to start the support races. And then after getting through micro, getting through K Junior, getting through warm-up, 2 heat races, and the gap time in between to work on the go-karts, well, we're about ready to go green. Let's pull that graphic up here and take a look at how they're going to line for this KA100 Senior Shootout. The Chad Dawkin Racing Machines have been promoted to the front row after Kai Hunter was given a 3-position penalty in heat number 2 for avoidable contact. That's moved Kai back to 4th. It's also allowed Peyton Phillips to sneak his way up into 3rd on the inside of row 2.
Back on row number 3, the fan vote, Emery Lida starting there on the inside, alongside fast Frankie Mossman, who qualified on the pole earlier on today. Then you go back to Finnegan Bailiff and Dalton Haynes, who had issues at the end of the second heat race. So look for those 2 drivers to work their way up.
Chase Buscalia and Hayden Jones will round the top 10 on row number 5, with Steven Eisert and Cameron Weinberg back on row number 6. Moving on to Adam Brickley, the lone privateer. He's got a long road ahead on the inside of row 7, Caleb.
Yeah, he's alongside Paulie Massimino, who also, again, you saw his confidence kind of down after the first couple, but it's going to be dry this next one, so we'll see what Paulie, now his package does here in a couple of moments' time. James Overback going to start right behind him, and then you go all the way back to A.J. Myers and Parker DeLong running up the field.
They've got, as well, some damage repair done to the Magic Machine to the Ruthless Karting entry. When they're starting that far back, they all know that the odds are not exactly in their favor. But everyone in every session, from the moment we dropped the green on Micro Swift qualifying about nearly 2.5 hours ago, we were on wet tires. Only now have we been able to get the track just dry enough and the drivers and mechanics just confident enough to bolt on sticker MG Reds. And now with 15 laps, $4,000 on the line, wet patches offline, but definitely a dry line to get to go fast on. They've got their full warm-up lap just about completed, and we may see what was intended with this original layout, a super speedway layout as coined by the track co-owner and event promoter Eric Jones, that he wanted to see a big pack race. He wanted to see hard racing and drivers have to really out-chess match each other. Well, the rain has kind of robbed us of that effect. It's given us the opportunity to look and keep an eye on who's looked fast, who's looked a bit further off in the tricky conditions, both on kart setup and driving. But as the track is going to dry over the course of the 15 laps, you hope you've got your kart freed up enough. You hope you shot the gear, got back close to the ratio you should be at. And mostly, as many have mentioned, you've got the guts to send it. 15 laps, $4,000, 17 drivers enter, 1 will exit with a whole lot bigger bank account. KA Senior Shootout for 2024 is green to turn number 1.
And already around the outside, Caleb G looking to get it done on his teammate. They're going to go side by side all the way up the hill into turn number 3. Stephen Miller able to hold on. Peyton Phillips goes through. Lida going side by side with Kai Hunter. They're further back. Bailiff looking on the inside. He's going to fade low. Going to lose a lot of time with that half move.
2 by 2 through turn number 4 as they try to fight down to the bottom. Look at Peyton Phillips trying the high side. He'll hit the wet spot and go wide. There, so will Caleb Gaffera as he bounces in the dirt. Hunter trying to throw a wheel to get clear for second, and he will. And Gaffera says that's enough of that. Get to the outside, puts him into the wall. Caleb Gaffera gives the bump and run to Kai Hunter and has him tagging the outside barriers. And that will give a huge lead to his teammate, Stephen Miller.
Caleb Gaffera was not happy there with Kai Hunter, and then further up in the field now, Dalton Haynes looking on the inside of Peyton Phillips into turn 4. He's going to get clear. Mossman going to get clear as well.
So into the infield hairpin out of turn number 4. Now the eyes go back to Kai Hunter to see if he's going to try to get back to Caleb Gaffera. Gaffera was not a fan of that little hip check side to side kind of moment there up the hill to the kink, and paid him right back in the last turn. But if those two get trapped fighting each other, that hope of the money goes out the window. Peyton Phillips trying to get back around Mossman in turn 1 did not work. And Dalton Haynes, as he mentioned, felt pretty strong. He's got a big gap, and it'll get bigger as Frankie continues to block the low side in 4. And Paulie Massimino almost on cue with how good he was in the shootout in the opening year. He said that he didn't think he had the speed then. He didn't think he had the speed now. He's into the top 5.
Yeah, you saw he was almost joking around there on the grid, and he's going to go on the inside of Frankie Mossman in the last corner. Couldn't get clear, and he's going to have a good run onto the main straightaway. There's Caleb G working with Kai Hunter, who's going to give him the bumper into turn number 1. They almost collect Lida, and there goes Brickley off the racetrack.
Yeah, Emery nearly got sent to the wayside. Adam Brickley is going to pay the price for that contact right there. Lida trying to defend low now from Hunter through turn number 4. Still very early. There's a lot of time left, boys, and while Stephen Miller's got a bit of a lead, it's not over yet. I would not throw your own race away getting too tripped up in all the antics, but it is Hunter now with Lida behind him, then DeLong. Hayden Jones tried to follow. He's getting run out into the dirt as Cameron Weinberg pushes him wide out of the final turn, turn 8.
Yeah, an update on race control. Penalty for the 969 of Caleb Gaffera. Incident responsibility with Kai Hunter. A 10-position penalty there, so that's going to put him on the back foot as we have more fighting going on all the way throughout the field. Lida falling under fire now.
Emery Lida just trying to hang on for dear life as up front we just saw a change for third. Paulie Massimino now has gone by on Peyton Phillips, and I don't know where they've all kind of shuffled. I don't believe timing and scoring is correct. Let's see if it corrects itself here in a moment. There it goes, and it is Haynes in second, and Massimino now up and into third. Kai Hunter now making up another spot. He gets by on Mossman. Next on the chopping block will be Finn Bailiff, and he is driving like a madman to get to Caleb Gaffera while we've got a new leader. Dalton Haynes has gone by on Stephen Miller.
Yeah, Dalton Haynes was 0.4 of a second quicker than Stephen Miller last time around, and he's pulling away here just a little bit, points forward. I wonder if Miller made a mistake or he's just this far off the pace compared to what the Mooresville, North Carolina local has. And again, yeah, Paulie Massimino as well, local to North Carolina here, running in third, as well as a couple of other drivers in Caleb G. Kai Hunter, definitely not local here. Another local, Hayden Jones, looking on the inside of Steven Iser. He's able to get clear.
Well, here's the thing about this race, Caleb. As much as it might look like Miller was kind of slow in comparison, this is a dynamic racetrack that's only going to get more and more grippy. Mossman nearly pulled off and now around the outside move on Finn Bailiff. Now, unfortunately, he's going to get a bit of a bump and run there, and it looks like Cameron Weinberg is through. Jones trying to get out of that midfield skirmish as well. DeLong is in the mix, along with, it looked like one more, and that's going to be James Overbeck right behind Parker DeLong. He'll go to the inside. Now they're nearly 3 wide as DeLong tried to go to the middle, and ultimately Overbeck's going to get that spot taken away, so James moves up into the top 10, and we've got some separation through our field. But I can tell you one thing, Caleb, as fast as Dalton was, as fast as Steven was, Paulie Massimino just went purple a lap ago. He is the fastest car on the racetrack for a guy who said he had no shot at this.
Yeah, and I'm sure Paulie definitely surprised under his helmet there. And as he sees himself close into the Chad Dawkins Kart Republic there, another one of those. Gaffera on the inside of Peyton Phillips. He's able to get clear and up to the top 4 now. So he's just in 4th at the moment for Caleb G, and as well for Paulie, still lapping a little bit quicker than the top 2 drivers, was 0.2 quicker last time around.
So with Caleb Gaffera now around Peyton Phillips and into 4th, I don't know without a lot of fighting if he'll get to the top 3, but could you imagine both the elation and then the moment to realize that he's going to have to go to the protest room if he wants any shot at staying on the podium because of the contact and the incident of really the lap and a half it was of him and Kai Hunter trading blows until eventually, he's kind of pulled away from the RPG Cosmic. They were almost nose to tail. Hunter is still trying to get to him, but Caleb is a rocket ship just as fast as the Brit. So as they're marching forward, that's like a ticking time bomb. If I'm on the racetrack and I've seen any of it, I don't think any of the top 3 have seen the 2 of them go at it though, so they might not know that the storm is on the way. Hunter now to the inside of Phillips, doing everything he can to hunt down Caleb Gaffera with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, it's definitely going to heat up there for P4, and again, I don't want to spoil the party there for Caleb G, but I don't think he's going to be able to overturn that penalty there that he received against Kai Hunter, but we'll see. It's all to play for here. Last time around, Paulie Massimino once again, 0.2 quicker than your top 2 drivers, and you see his gap close down to 2 car lengths. So Paulie definitely about to arrive on the scene in that draft, helping him out so much on that main straightaway and a lot on that back straightaway as well, Zane.
There's nobody that's come closer to winning this KA shootout over the years than Paulie Massimino. Some of those head-to-head battles that he's had at this race, including most recently with Connor Zilic in the previous years, and last year head-to-head against Danny Formal that saw him spun around with 2 corners to go. He has won the X30 shootout. He's won the mains in KA. He's never won the KA shootout before. He's now up to second right behind Stephen Miller, and he's going to fade to the inside. Paulie to the bottom. Haynes with a big move on Miller to go back to second, and this is going to allow Caleb Gaffera to get closer. 3 laps to go. This time by a 3-car pack and about a second and a half back to Caleb G and Kai Hunter, who are flying towards the leaders.
Yeah, and we'll see if Stephen Miller has a pace to keep up with the top 2. We saw him kind of losing a little bit of time to Dalton Haynes when Haynes was leading, so we'll see what Stephen Miller can do in the 3rd spot. And again, he has some help from behind in his teammate with Caleb G, so it's going to be critical for Miller to try to slow down this pack and get Caleb Gaffera up there and help him out, as well as Miller fading low on the inside of Haynes. He's able to get through and up to second now.
Stephen Miller going by on Dalton. Dalton frantically checking the gap back, and he's going to go back in on Miller now. 2 laps to go. Paulie Massimino trying to win the shootout. Stephen Miller trying to do the same. Haynes trying to do the same, but the 2 of them fighting for second have given a huge gap to Massimino. I think from Stephen Miller's point of view, he was just trying to position himself better, but I think, honestly, Haynes and Massimino seem to be the 2 fastest of the trio. And with Dalton getting some help from Steven, he's trying to get to the inside, and he gets into the back of Paulie. Big moment there for Dalton, but a huge kudos to him there. He didn't wipe him out. He locked the brakes up and hurt himself a little more in the process.
Yeah, Caleb G now arriving on the scene, but white flag in the air. Dalton Haynes, got to give it all you got to take your first shootout victory in your career here at Mooresville, North Carolina. He looks to close down. 3 car lengths separates the 2 North Carolina natives.
Connor Zilic won it in 2021 and 2022. Last year, Massimino led it all the way to the final few turns. 2 more turns to go. Haynes is looking low. He's not going to give him the chance. Paulie to the bottom in the hairpin. Dalton to the high side. Big break in the momentum now. Last turn. Gap's too big. Paulie Massimino. He's a shootout winner again. This time in KA100.
He counted himself out, and now he was able to get it done, starting all the way from the tail end of the pack. Paulie Massimino wins the 2024 KA100 shootout.
As the rest of the pack comes across the line, provisionally, it'll go Massimino, Haynes, Miller, and again, at the very end, Caleb Gaffera and Kai Hunter arriving on the scene. Too little, too late, unfortunately. What a very clean race for the top 3. Not sure we could say the same to the rest of the field, as there's definitely some frustration, I'm sure. But there is about to be a whole lot of elation. And when Paulie Massimino won the shootout in 2021, he said he didn't feel like he had the pace then. He didn't think he had the pace now. He did, without a doubt. And well, let's see how he was able to get it done. That Coastal Link custom printing race recap is on and ready from this KA100 Senior Shootout, and $4,000 over the course of 15 laps. Began with a Chad Duncan Racing front row and Caleb Gaffera from the outside lane, keeping it even alongside his teammate Stephen Miller and drag racing him all the way down the back straightaway. Looked like a full-on, as expected, super speedway race, but this moment here, after the contact in the kink that we just missed on the clip right before, had Caleb Gaffera react and get into the side of Kai Hunter. So we just missed that a little bit on the replay, but here's a look side by side, 3rd and 4th with Massimino and Moore, and then this was Hunter kind of getting back to Gaffera. They'd already collided twice. That was the 3rd time the 2 found each other. And then as well, more and more racing action, every line hanging on. Then this group here, Phillips and everyone else. But you can see at the bottom of your screen also the elation for Paulie Massimino. The PJR MDR crew did not even have either of their drivers in the top 10 in the first heat race. And cool as well to see the congrats from Roman Haynes, Dalton's older brother, wrenches on his karts. Congratulating Paulie on a clean, hard-fought race win. He is one of the most respected drivers here in the pits over the last few years. And this season, it seems like it's just finally all clicking. And there it is. Chris Knockner, Mr. CNC Performance Engineering. Paulie Massimino getting as well Weston Workman and the rest of his friends and family all congratulating him. A job well done And, well, you can see that last moment. This right here, big kudos to Dalton Haynes and to Stephen Miller for not driving into the back of Paulie Massimino because they had the chance to. They wanted it clean, and it was clean for all three of them. They'll be on the box. I don't think any penalties are headed to any of your top three. So all three are going to get a bit of a nice payday, as there's Connor Zilish as well, congratulating Paulie on joining him on the list of CNCPE KA100 shootout winners. Paulie Massimino, $4,000 richer, Alex.
You see the congratulations there from Brandon Jarvis, crack from Kai Hunter as well. Paulie, you've won the shootout twice now, in X30, now in KA Senior. We spoke before this feature race. You said you had a smile on your face because you didn't think you had a chance in the world to win this thing. How did you make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, after the first few heats, you know, I really didn't think we had what it was. Either we were off somewhere that we didn't know we were off, but luckily it dried up. And then, yeah, when I talked to you last time, I was just going to go out and have fun and try to pass some karts and kind of just enjoy it. But yeah, got a really good start and just kept my head down. And I just see catching people, pass people. Haven't been able to do it all night, so it feels good.
You're probably one of the most well-liked drivers in the paddock, especially around Trackhouse Motorplex. What does it mean to you to see all the congratulations from so many drivers, mechanics, team owners?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Thank you. Thank you to everyone that congratulated me. I really appreciate it. You know, it shows, you know, at the end of the day, we're all still, you know, in the same place and we're all, you know, doing it together. So if you can't win, you know, at least you could do is, you know, congratulate your friends and family and stuff like that. So, but like I said, yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all.
You're a driver it's hard to get a smile out of you, but I think a bigger wallet's going to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a good smile on my face, especially the day we had, you know. In contention for KA, kind of went about it the wrong way, and the next 30 leading into the last corner before failure happened. So this feels good to end the day like this. To be honest with you, I really wasn't looking forward to doing this after the day I had. I just wanted to go home, go to sleep, and try again tomorrow.
All right, thank you, Paulie. Congratulations.
I'd like to thank all the BGR, MDR crew, all those guys that did an amazing job tonight. Did what I asked, even, you know, they had their own ideas, and it worked out, so I can't thank those guys enough. All of them, it's too many to name. Obviously, BBS Racing Engines, KA is on fire. Offset, Next Set, Group A, my parents, of course. Wouldn't be possible without them. My girlfriend, her dad, they're out here watching, so it's good to do good with them around. Who else? Wiggity Wing, Barbie Shop, and I think that's it.
Congratulations, Paulie.
Thank you.
Back to you, boys.
Caleb Gaffera just off the box, but the top three provisionally all good. Stephen Miller, Dalton Haynes, and Paulie Massimino confirmed from race control. No on-track penalties for first, second, or third. All three drivers that'll be in the trophy and money presentation to close out the evening. A solid performance from both Dalton Haynes and Stephen Miller, leading the majority of this KA100 Senior Shootout presented by CNC Performance Engineering. Haynes with the SLA Kart Racing TB P2 on the night, and I don't know exactly how the pay split will go down the top three. Typically, it's, again, just about a two-third to half split down each position from first to third, from that $4,000 prize for the overall race winner down to second and to third. But at least for the three of them, all good. The rest of the results here will populate it up onto your screen. Again, these are results were just provisional, folks, so just keep that in mind. As again, we know that there may be some more penalties looming, but we'll pull up that final results sheet here one more time. Again, Massimino, Haynes, Miller, Gaffera, and Hunter just couldn't seem to get away from each other. They end up fourth and fifth across the line, and then penalties may shuffle them around, Caleb.
Yeah, no, for sure. A couple of penalties again for Gaffera, a 10-position penalty at the end of this one. Kai Hunter crossed the line in fifth, Weinberg as well in sixth, and an up-and-down day for a lot of these guys. I mean, Weinberg contact in heat race number one. That kind of puts you in the back foot going into the rest of the races, and it kind of showed here. He was the quickest on the racetrack, so probably didn't show as much as many would have expected, but again, a good showing for Weinberg. Peyton Phillips across the line in seventh. DeLong, a good showing for him nonetheless, crossing the line inside of the top 10. Biscaglia as well in ninth, and A.J. Myers, again, contact for him in heat race number one, just put him on the back foot ever since.
He was able to drive from basically dead last, he and Parker DeLong, to get into the top half of the field. when the checkered flag flew. So big kudos to those drivers there, AJ and Parker, to drive on forward. Let's go back on down to pit lane here for the last couple of drivers that we'll be chatting with on the day. So, no, it looks like they're rolling on through. So, yeah, we will not be, at least for the moment, most all getting ready to go. It's been a long night of racing action, and they've got to get ready for more tomorrow. So, Paulie Massimino, victorious from the KA100 Senior Shootout, presented by CNC Performance Engineering. And after a night with rain delays and everything else in between, what more can we say but show you really all that what has gone on over the last few hours. One long opening day of live stream action here from this IAME USA Grand National Championship. Again, can't thank everyone enough for making it all possible to be here on this weekend. All of our partners as well, like Coastal Link Printing, shopakr.com, Pride Apparel, and of course the IAME USA East program for this fourth running of this fantastic event here, 2024. There has been a lot to talk about, and we've only gotten through one round of heats, qualifying, and one of our two shootout days. You look at the day go into the night through wet and dry conditions, and a little bit of dirt tracking as well. For Caleb Viesca, the entire Kart Chaser team, the hardworking Trackhouse Motorplex team who have been here from the moment the sun went up to the moment the sun went down, and all of the awesome drivers, over 160 here this weekend putting on a show. They'll be back at it first thing in the afternoon tomorrow with warm-up, 2 more heat races, and then ultimately the conclusion of the X30 shootout for Saturday night's action. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning.